simple thing, and be a defender first and foremost. Take pride in that clean sheet. And look, I'm sure it's a little bit more than that, because he'll pick up, where to be on the pitch at certain scenarios, and obviously Pep will coach him as he does. But a lot of credit's got to go to Stones for having the mentality to come through all that, and come out the other side. Yeah,
7 starts in the last 8, 6 clean sheets in that time, and plenty of credit for Ruben Dias as well for being absolutely fantastic in the games that I've seen at City this season. On Man City, they've been winning games regularly, as we mentioned, 7 in a row now, 14 unbeaten. But they're not really thrashing teams. They seem to be happy to take the lead or get the second goal and then that's it, close it down. Do you think, as someone speculated to me earlier this week, that because there's no fans in here, the players are less inclined to give us the old razzle-dazzle and they're just going to close it down, we've won it, we move on?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to know, apart from you look at, maybe where the goals have come from, and because there's been so many different scorers, and they haven't really had that out-and-out 9 that has gone and got them double figures so far that might get a second and a third and a fourth in a game. That's maybe why it hasn't happened. They've shared the goals around, which has been great for them. Look, I'm sure you ask any player if they want to play in front of a crowd or not, whether that would drive them on and inspire them to perform in front of them. Of course it does. So whether that's a reason, I don't know, but I'm sure there will be even more goals if they were there, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe one reason Sergio Aguero not here again this evening. He's had all sorts of injury problems this season, not scored a Premier League goal since January 2020. And I'll just remind people, because who knows what day of the week it is, let alone month. It's January 2021 now, since he last scored a Premier League goal. That's a long old time.
It's a fair point as well, Tom, because, I was looking, he's 33. He's scored, 250 plus goals, 13 titles, but obviously he's out of contract. And he's had a few injury problems, and so what do they do? What is their, who's their next one? Is it Jesus? Is he the one they're going to rely on? Or is it Torres? Or, because when Torres has played, he's looked great as well, hasn't he?
We'll come back to Man City later. Briefly on Crystal Palace. Any chance of a win here without Wilfried Zaha?
Well, the odds say no.
What do you say? Forget the odds. You're the man I trust.
Well, I think it's going to be very, very difficult. Cahill coming in, and he hasn't had a lot of football of late. He'll have to acclimatise pretty well. It's going to be difficult. They're not blessed with abundance of pace, are they? If you look at the midfield, McCarthy, MacArthur and Mihajlovic, they're not really, haven't got the legs to get in and around. It's going to be a challenge for them, and without Zaha to create a bit of magic. So it's going to be very, very difficult.
But they do have a good record here, Crystal Palace. Unbeaten in 3 league games as well. 1 win and 2 draws in that time. One here a couple of seasons ago. Draw last time they came to the Etihad Stadium. And so recent history will make them feel they have a chance. But Man City, the machine, very much on the tracks right now. 14 unbeaten in all competitions. They've won their past 7. They are slowly, quietly creeping their way up the table and into title contention. They are big favourites tonight, but football, as we know, is not played by the bookies or indeed on paper. Kick-off in just a few moments. It's Man City against Crystal Palace. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. Impress Lost Tribes people of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at TalkSport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport. TalkSport. Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to TalkSport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Golf! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10 when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Driving home with Darren Gough and Durham, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double-strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Gough.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on Talk Sport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double-O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got Pussy Galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Talk Sport.
Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents, and entertain the kids with the improved Talk Sport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. Talk Sport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Manchester City against Crystal Palace from the Etihad Stadium. I'm your host, Tom Rennie. Alongside me for this one is the former Leicester City, Southampton, West Ham and Republic of Ireland striker David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. The home side, Manchester City, quietly creeping into this year's title race. They are in really scintillating form despite not getting the usual headlines for thrashing opponents. 14 games unbeaten in all competitions, 7 victories in a row. No wonder the bookmakers are all starting to cast eyes on Pep Guardiola's Blues once again. As for Crystal Palace, renewed resilience from them in recent weeks. They were battered 7-0 by Liverpool, 3-0 against Aston Villa last month, but since then 2 draws, including against Leicester and Arsenal, and a victory over Sheffield United has seen Crystal Palace move away from relegation trouble and back to where they belong in the mid-table of the Premier League. Roy Hodgson says his players need to show enormous powers of concentration and discipline if they're to continue their good run of results away in Manchester. They've won at Old Trafford already this season, and they won here a couple of seasons ago. To the team news, starting with Manchester City, Guardiola makes 4 changes to his side. Sterling and Jesus come in for Mahrez and Foden. Fernandinho in for Rodri. Walker replaces Cancelo. For Palace, Wilfried Zaha not in the matchday squad. Neither Sheku Kouyaté. Benteke drops to the bench in the last game as well. James McCarthy, Jordan Ayew and Gary Cahill come in. So, Man City, Ederson in goal, back 4 left to right of Alexander Zinchenko, Ruben Dias, John Stones and Kyle Walker. Fernandinho in the central midfield wearing the captain's armband. Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne either side of him. Gabriel Jesus up front with Silva and Sterling supporting. On the bench, Zach Steffen, Rodri, Ferran Torres, Benjamin Mendy, Riyad Mahrez, João Cancelo, Phil Foden, Liam Delap and Tommy Doyle. As for Crystal Palace, Vicente Guaita is in goal, back 4 left to right of Tyrick Mitchell, Gary Cahill, James Tompkins and Ward at right back, Joel Ward, James McCarthy, James MacArthur and Luka Milivojevic, the skipper, in the centre of midfield. Jordan Ayew is the centre forward with Andros Townsend and Aberi Eze supporting. Just 7 subs named: Jack Butland, Patrick Van Arnholt, Scott Dan, Nathaniel Klein, Christian Benteke, Mishi Batshuayi and Jairo Riedewald. Lee Mason, our referee, Andrew Madley, the 4th official, and Martin Atkinson, the dreaded VAR. Man City in their bottom of the swimming pool home shirt of sky blue with white trim and navy number on the back, white shorts and sky blue socks. They kick from left to right as we look in this first half. Crystal Palace the other way, right to left. They're wearing their home strip away from home, which is vertical stripes of red and blue on the shirt, blue shorts and blue socks, but a royal blue as opposed to City's sky blue. 2 minutes gone. David Connolly with me. What have you seen so far?
And breathe.
Lots to get through.
Well, just looking at Crystal Palace, how they've set up, but frustrating Man City at the minute, trying to play out and very dogged, disciplined, trying to force that little turnover. And what they want is Man City to go long. Quite a small side, aren't they, Man City, especially in the front areas. And you imagine when the ball's booted up to the likes of Tompkins and Cahill and Ward, that's exactly what they'll want. So that's what their game plan is, Palace.
2 minutes gone here, with Crystal Palace up over the halfway line. They have lost the ball to Gundogan, who pokes it forward. Jesus on the run. Tompkins goes to ground, slams the door. Premier League veteran James Tompkins these days, robust in the challenge. That's how to play for a throw on the far side. Zinchenko will take it.
He nearly scored against Arsenal, didn't he, Tompkins? A little bit unlucky, hit the bar. It was a good clean sheet, wasn't it, against them? Arsenal in good form and
should have won as well, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Had the chances.
Tompkins with one, Benteke another. Leno made a fantastic save. Arsenal for very little. Good reaction from Palace, hasn't it, since that 7-0 thumping?
Yep.
There's Kyle Walker in for Cancelo in the right back role this evening. Cancelo has played on the left hand side as well, but getting a rest tonight as Fernandinho brings City forward. Cross in, away by Tompkins. Didn't quite know where that was going there, Tompkins. He found James MacArthur. Eze forced back towards his own goal by Walker and De Bruyne, and he's done well to win a throw in for his side.
Yeah, and this is where he's going to be so important, the likes of Eze and Ayew, Townsend, just keeping that ball where, obviously they're not going to have it a lot today. We know that City will dominate it. So when they do get it, those sorts of players, they've got to retain it. Just get Palace up the pitch. They need those players, to carry the ball. They miss Zaha, but it's up to Eze and Ayew to do that now.
Consecutive clean sheets for Crystal Palace. No Kouyaté this evening, who's been a real cornerstone of that defence in recent weeks. Cahill in for him. Here's Ayew, another new addition from their last game, up over the halfway line. Eze down the left finds Townsend. All the creative players in a nice huddle on the left-hand side for a moment, Palace. Townsend crosses. Ayew's in there. Diaz away. McCarthy tries to win the second ball, but he's jumped too high, missed it. Gundogan retrieves. City come forward. Zinchenko up towards the halfway line, held up by Joel Ward. Back to Fernandinho, the captain, and to his right, John Stones.
Well, you can just see Mihajovic, he's the deeper of those midfielders. He's the one. They've got the 4, then the 1, then the 4, then the one up top. He's the one that just sits in front, trying to stop the balls, the passes going into the likes of Jesus. Always looking over his shoulder. Where is he? Where's De Bruyne? Where's those players in the pocket just off the front?
Freak on the far side here for Manchester City, a few yards over the halfway. A challenge by Ward brings down Raheem Sterling, who of course missed that late penalty against Brighton last time out. Sterling very frustrated, I'm sure, to have missed it. Just 4 goals in the Premier League this season, not scored since the victory over Southampton in December. That's his only goal in 8 games.
Well, he skied that penalty, didn't he, when he came on against Brighton, which was shocking.
There's Fernandinho in the centre of midfield for City, running out right. Instep pass finds the run for Bernardo Silva onto De Bruyne, cuts one back, blocked by MacArthur. Corner to Manchester City on the right.
Yeah, brilliant tracking here from MacArthur. This is what you need when you're playing the likes of Man City. You get those runners from deep, especially when De Bruyne makes them. You need your teammates to cover and track and mark and take the runners. That's what MacArthur did there.
Excellent work by James MacArthur in midfield. Only Wilfried Zaha has made more Palace appearances in the Premier League than him. Zaha missing this evening, as we mentioned, for those just joining us. Corner went long. Sterling picks it up left-hand side. Turns away from McCarthy once, not twice though. McCarthy getting back in with a strong challenge, the Irish midfielder. Another corner on the far side.
Yeah, dogged, diligent. Took 2 though to try and stop Sterling getting the cross in. Fake to deliver with his right, chop back onto his left, but McCarthy stuck with him.
Not afraid of the hard work. MacArthur and McCarthy in midfield this evening.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why they're there, isn't it?
Cupboard somewhat bare as well, to be fair, if you look at the benches. De Bruyne crosses, it's over Stones, recovered by Bernardo Silva. He'll take on MacArthur on the end line, right hand side. Jinks back and finds Zinchenko. Lets the ball run across his body, then turns it forward again to Bernardo Silva. Silva back to Zinchenko, reverse pass to Jesus in the area, up against Mitchell. Little bite on him by Mitchell, good win. Jesus gets there before McCarthy. Second ball, he thinks he was fouled, the Brazilian. Referee hasn't given it. Palace come away. Nice work by Jordan Ayew up towards the halfway, and Eze runs up against De Bruyne, chops in field, does really well, but his forward pass was somewhat hammered towards Ayew, and it found the abs of Fernandinho.
Well, Ayew's been outstanding so far. I know we've only played 7 minutes and he's probably only touched the ball, 10 times, but every time he has, it's been quality. You know, I said about those players, when it comes to them keeping hold of it, having that ability on the ball, certainly Ayew has that. Fantastic feat.
Last year's Player of the Year, Jordan Ayew, struggled to get in the team in recent weeks. First start since the Liverpool game for him, as it is for Gary Cahill, who's on the ball here. Back towards Guaita, all in yellow, away to our right, up to Ayew, heads it down, brought down by Mitchell on the halfway line. Back towards James MacArthur, turns to Tompkins. Jesus putting him under pressure, left to the veteran Gary Cahill. Had some fantastic performances last season for Palace, did Gary Cahill. Was certainly noted at Stamford Bridge. We could have done with a top centre-half at times in the last campaign. Has struggled for fitness this. And we'll have plenty of time tonight to prove his worth, with City expected to dominate the ball. High ball up towards Ayew here from Guaita. Stones clears against the shins of MacArthur. Could have gone anywhere. Goes to Zinchenko on the far side. He goes short to Gundogan. Into Fernandinho, left to centre, approaching the halfway.
Well, that was good though from MacArthur. You know, just gambling, trying to pick up the second balls. They're not going to just sit in there. They will try and make something happen when they do go forward.
Forward by Diaz. MacArthur again with an interception. Finds Milivojevic midway inside his own half. Short sleeves and gloves, the skipper. On to Andros Townsend, who will always be remembered, won't he, for that wonderful, wonderful volley goal here in that victory a couple of seasons ago. One of the great Premier League goals. This ball goes into touch.
Absolutely. Well, he's remembered here, isn't he? Because he works here. Gets the odd day off. Come into Talk Sport.
I have to say how good he is. Yeah. I'm contractually obliged.
Exactly. And Troy Deeney.
Maybe not so much. 10 minutes gone. He's not in the Premier League anymore. I haven't got to mention him, so it's fine. Here's Townsend over on the far side. Looks to play in Ayew, challenged by Diaz. Into touch for a throw to Crystal Palace. 10 minutes gone here, 0-0, and Palace have played well so far.
Yeah, they have, and obviously the midfielder got a huge job, huge task on, defensively and going forward to help the attack. And they've done that really well so far, breaking things up and putting foots in, and Ayew's been really bright, so it's a good start.
Throw in to MacArthur, who rather hopefully spins one into the penalty area. Walker goes to ground and chests it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. He didn't really have a look, did he? Didn't have a look over his shoulder what was in there. Ball just dropped to him, just span it round. Ended up actually Kyle Walker chesting it back from 6 yards out. He actually took Ayew by surprise, and Eze just caught on their heels a little bit.
Here's Bernardo Silva, right hand side for Manchester City. Chips one towards Gundogan. It's away from Tompkins. Out into touch for a throw on this near side.
He could have actually, if I'm being critical, because I watched, a superb defensive performance yesterday from Dawson. We just see this out.
Throw into Jesus, back to Bernardo Silva. Down the sideline to Kyle Walker, towards the halfway, and Stones quickly onto Diaz in the centre circle. Forward to Zinchenko, Townsend on the press. Back to John Stones, right hand side, about 10 over the halfway line. On to Walker, back to Ruben Diaz again in the centre circle. Stones is short. Here he is now, left to Fernandinho, the captain, in the heart of midfield this evening. To his left is Raheem Sterling, Townsend for company. Back to Fernandinho, in the air, left to right. To Bernardo Silva. Back to Kyle Walker, out of his body, running past Eze, running at Mitchell, running towards the corner flag, cut back pass, Bernardo Silva, left-footed cross, good delivery, good header away from James Tompkins that time. Jesus was sniffing around and Ward pumps it upfield.
Yeah, really good header there from Tompkins. I was just going to say that, Dawson for West Ham yesterday, when the ball came in and he had to head it, he headed it. When it came into him and maybe he could take it on his chest to relieve the pressure, he did that. And Tompkins, ball came in the box, could have taken it down and just retained the ball. And that's what he got to get the balance right here, Palace.
Strike by Gundogan here from distance, blocked by Cahill. Recovered by Zinchenko in the centre of the pitch. Behind him is Fernandinho, who goes left to right again in the air to Bernardo Silva, who scored in the FA Cup against Birmingham in the third round, but hasn't found the back of the net in the Premier League this season. Having a rather ineffective time in this division, Bernardo Silva, as Ruben Dias looks for him again, left to right. Silva volleys back to Walker. Approaching the final third from the right. It's into Fernandinho, into Gundogan, then Walker. First time back to Stones. City have all their outfield players at least 10 yards in Palace's half. Over the top from Zinchenko, trying to release Sterling. Tompkins reads it, back to Ward. Ward down the line to Townsend, who looks to clear it on. Ayew can't get there before Zinchenko, who volleys infield to Fernandinho, and City come again.
Yeah, it's just relentless at the minute. They can't get out, Palace. Just where they've got to be really patient and dogged. Just sit in, track their runners. Sterling made a good run in behind there, but it's followed all the way by Ward.
Do City have the required goal threat? Hasn't quite been up to the standards that we come to expect from Manchester City this season. 25 goals, the fewest they've had at this stage of a season for a decade. But of course, the defence right up there with the best in the Premier League, indeed the best in the Premier League. Townsend wins the ball back for Palace, tries to get them upfield. He's won a throw for his side, midway inside his own half. Ward into Milivojevic, not a great volley back to him, so Ward has to bring it down quickly and pump it down the line to Ayew, who's got good strength here, trying to turn away from Ruben Dias. Dias with the last touch, throw in again to Palace.
I just wonder, it might have gone City's way here, but he's looked, as I said earlier, Ayew's looked really, really bright. I can understand why Roy's put him in, a bit more mobile, I guess, than Benteke. He's never going to play a front two here. Zaha wasn't fit anyway, so it's a question probably Benteke or Ayew. Who's going to look after the ball better? Probably Ayew.
As you say, the throw-in has gone City's way. Zinchenko has taken it. Palace have won it back. Milivojevic and Ayew with a nice 1-2. Ricochets to MacArthur after De Bruyne's challenge. Townsend's ball left to right. Eze is sniffing on the shoulder of Kyle Walker, who jumped for it, missed it. Eze just couldn't get there. It goes into touch.
Yeah, but they won that ball back from MacArthur again. Here he is in the tackle, sharp, wins it off De Bruyne. Nice little idea this is from Townsend. Just a pinged ball to the back post on the diagonal, trying to pick out Eze, but it just went slightly ahead of him. And he's got a challenge today, Eze. Obviously scored a great goal against Sheffield. He's up against probably, arguably, one of the best fullbacks that we've seen in the Premier League, or had for a number of years, in Kyle Walker.
There he is now, Kyle Walker on the right hand side for City. This is 12th start in the Premier League this season. Usually he has got the nod in games this campaign, with João Cancelo playing much of his football this season out on the left hand side. Here is Fernandinho, very much Rodri's understudy these days. Big dig from the halfway line, trying to find Sterling again. Ward underneath it, has to knock it into touch. Didn't quite know where Sterling was.
No, but he always wants to make that run, doesn't he, Sterling, from out to in. Ward knew he was coming, wasn't quite sure where to head the ball though. Tried to give it back to his goalkeeper, got it wrong, it's gone out for a corner.
15 minutes gone here. Manchester City 0, Crystal Palace 0 on Premier League Live. Corner over on the left hand side for Manchester City, their third of the match. De Bruyne with it, whipped in, punched away by Guaita. Straight at him, but fizzed in, so he didn't want to try and catch it. City could have been caught out there momentarily, but Eze's pass was poor. Zinchenko's won it back. Kevin De Bruyne on the far side, challenged by Townsend, who thinks that's his ball, as you heard quite clearly on our FX microphones, but the assistant didn't agree.
Yeah, terrific work there though from Townsend on the first touch of De Bruyne. It's a little bit loose. There he is in the tackle. One pressing from in front, Townsend, one from behind, Ward. Good defending. That's what you need from your wingers, to put a real shift in.
John Stones, centre circle, running forward with the ball at feet. Finds Gundogan. First time back to Walker. Right to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva back to Kyle Walker again. Left is Ruben Dias. De Bruyne running for it. Fernandinho there too. Goes short to Fernandinho. Milivojevic for company. Walker forward, Gundogan on the half turn, finds a forward pass to Bernardo Silva against Mitchell, chops back, finds Kevin De Bruyne, nowhere to go, finds Bernardo Silva on towards Walker. Walker's cross is blocked by Mitchell, stays in the air, stays in play. Townsend has to clear it. Tompkins complains that surely went off.
It was definitely off the pitch. It was a good ball off the pitch. I don't understand how the assistant referee's right in front of that, clearly over the line. Should have been a goal kick.
Kevin De Bruyne running forward, left to right, forward pass, intercepted by Mitchell. De Bruyne gets there before Eze. Pokes it back first time towards Kyle Walker, into Fernandinho, back to Walker. 17 minutes gone. City 0, Palace 0. Premier League Live. Just a reminder, we've already had 2 games for you today. Tottenham victorious at Sheffield United. And Ndombele with the pick of the goals in a 3-1 victory. 0-0 at Anfield between Liverpool and Manchester United. The Red Devils stay top. Good result for Manchester City. Here are City coming forward. Sterling into Gundogan. Gundogan right-footed, left to right. Behind Bernardo Silva that time. Into touch, and City struggling to create anything in that final third at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is the challenge they've faced, obviously, for a number of seasons now. They're used to it, but obviously in the past, Palace have had joy with it, had success. So sticking to the same template, and it's worked so far. But everyone, I mean, they'll come off absolutely drained physically, but also mentally. You've got to be so switched on to the movement, to the passes, cutting off certain lanes so they can't receive balls into. It's a real challenge for Palace here.
Hodgson asked for enormous powers of concentration from his team to get anything thus far.
Oh, did he? Well, yeah, exactly. There you go. It's a mental challenge. This it really is. Up against
delivered so far,
team.
I think, haven't they?
Yep.
More work to do here, though, as Zinchenko goes left to right in the air. Familiar ball now, finds Bernardo Silva, running again at Tyrick Mitchell. Kyle Walker, right-footed, loops across, aiming towards Gundogan at the back post. Sterling there too, but over both, into touch.
Yeah, and you can just see this is the leadership that sometimes you don't see. I looked at some West Brom games previously, and as that cross has gone over the goal line, you can see Milivojevic pointing to his teammates McCarthy, right, you're meant to be here, you should be here, that ball's coming in, maybe they let a runner go or whatever there, and that's the sort of diligence that you need in leadership to get a point against a City side here. Everyone's got to be really on it, and they have been so far, Palace, and their tactic is shut the inside, force the ball wide. That is their intention. Can you go on and go wide, and we'll defend the ball from there.
Goal kick upfield, MacArthur heads on, Eze brings it under control and tries to chip the goalkeeper here from distance. Certainly creative from Aberi Eze. Ederson was off his line, but he got to hit the target to ask the question. This one goes over the top.
Yeah, he's a good 40 yards out here. I mean, by the time that ball gets close to the goal, Ederson's on the 6-yard line. It's got to be some strike from there, but a sign of his growing confidence, which is good.
To Stones and the goalkeeper. Diaz back to Ederson again, all in black, shirt, shorts and socks. Away to our left, tights underneath the shorts as well. Ball intercepted there, good pressing from Crystal Palace. Eze 1-2 with Ayew, running in field now, finds Townsend. Approaching the final third here, but Eze was caught as he released the ball to Townsend, and the referee Lee Mason gives him a free kick.
Yeah, a little give and go, a couple of 1-2s here, and Fernandinho knew exactly what he's doing, just blocking the run from Eze, just so he couldn't pass and follow. Good spot from the ref. Good chance
for Crystal Palace. We have this free kick left hand side with 20 minutes gone on the score, 0-0. Eze is over it, the £16 million signing from Queen's Park Rangers in August.
Well, this is not too sort of dissimilar area to where Tompkins hit the bar against Arsenal.
In swinger, right-footed, aims towards, the penalty area broadly, but there's no Palace player in there. Easy catch for Ederson.
Yeah, disappointing delivery, far too close to the goalkeeper.
Kyle Walker receives a quick roll out, but there's no break on. Palace regroup. City keep possession. 20 minutes gone, it's 0-0 here on Premier League Live. A reminder, we're back with you tomorrow. Further games in the Premier League. Unbelievable. If you're a football fan, it's a good time as Arsenal take on Newcastle. James Fielder and Chris Perry, your commentary team for that one. In around about 24 hours from now, our coverage begins from Emirates Stadium. Here at the Etihad, it's Raheem Sterling into Gundogan, approaching the final third from the left. Back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko finds Stones. Forward pass to Fernandinho on the right hand side now. Again, they go in the air towards Bernardo Silva, trying to release him a lot. City at the moment, obviously They fancy him running at Tyrick Mitchell. So far it's not quite worked out, as Stones and Zinchenko getting each other's way, and Townsend has robbed it on the halfway. Pass into MacArthur in space, released to Eze on the edge, left hand side. De Bruyne read it, wins it, and he can bring City upfield here from the right hand side. Into Gundogan in the centre circle, onto Raheem Sterling, back to Gundogan. Walker takes over, and there was a moment where it was on there for Crystal Palace, but how quickly do they have to pass the ball in order to get through in those situations? Well, we'll come back to that, as that's a lovely quick pass into Gundogan, and then Kevin De Bruyne with the effort, deflected. It's over the crossbar, big deflection, surely a corner, will be a corner here.
Yeah, as he drifted inside here, De Bruyne, he did have Bernardo Silva on the outside, he could have used him. Lovely pass from Fernandinho here into Jesus, sets Gundogan, feeds it out to the right hand side of the box for De Bruyne. One touch inside, he's trying to curl that with his left foot into the top corner, but I think he might have been better using Bernardo Silva on the outside, who's in acres of space.
Kevin De Bruyne, not exactly a prolific goal scorer, just at 3 in the Premier League this season. He's searching for his 100th Premier League assist tonight, maybe now, as he's found Sterling, who shoots, back to Gundogan, another effort blocked by Cahill. De Bruyne with another effort blocked by McCarthy this time. Scramble in the area. McCarthy cleared, Townsend picks it up. Sterling in the back of Townsend. Townsend desperate to be fouled, and Sterling obliges.
Well, I'll tell you what, brilliant here from Crystal Palace. For the first one from Raheem Sterling, Townsend actually overcommits himself, and Sterling just ducks in field, gets the shot off, a ricochets, comes back to De Bruyne, he gets a strike off, blocked by McCarthy. Brilliant from Palace. A few blocks in there, great defending.
Yeah, it gave the feel of desperate defending, but I think it's just good blocking from those Palace players there. We're not quite at that stage in the game yet. Palace looking reasonably comfortable as Tompkins fires one forward. One in the air by Zinchenko, recovered by Fernandinho. Got to be better though in those situations, Palace. At the moment, just spitting the ball back to Manchester City. Here's John Stones, 24 minutes gone. Man City 0, Crystal Palace 0, Premier League Live. Tom Rennie and David Connolly with you. Here's Ruben Dias on the halfway line. To his right is John Stones. Stones again, edging forward, yard by yard, no pressure on him. Into Jesus, back to Fernandinho, left to Zinchenko. Zinchenko left to right again, familiar pass now. Bernardo Silva brings it down, lovely. Back towards De Bruyne, spinning cross. Jesus brings it down, turns away from goal though. Lovely bit of skill to try and force some space for a shot. In the end he's overrun it. Ayu's won it back. Lee Mason doesn't give the free kick because Palace have still got it. Might have wanted a free kick though. In the end Gary Cahill gives it a blast upfield. Maybe the ref changed his mind. Stones takes it on the halfway. John Stones right to Kyle Walker. Inside right. 40 plus yards from goal. Crossfield pass is poor. Townsend intercepts it, and he's over the halfway line here. Andros Townsend against Stones. Running for the corner, Andros Townsend wants some support, still going. He's done brilliantly well. Cross comes in. It's over the goalkeeper. Eze couldn't get there. Walker brings it away, but he knocks it in his own penalty area. Ayew nearly nicks it. Diaz then gives it a thump.
Well, terrific play there from Townsend. We spoke about it, that ball carrying they needed, but Eze caught on his heels again. Maybe he didn't think that cross would reach him at the back post, but for the gamble there, would have been in.
Oh, that's a poor touch there by Ward, allowing Sterling in here, running left to right, into Kevin De Bruyne, out of his speed, into the area. Sterling is there, but Joel Ward is in the penalty area to make up for his error and clears away.
Oh, it's wrong decision here from De Bruyne. What a break. This is a poor pass from McCarthy across the box. McCarthy is won by Sterling. Terrific through ball to De Bruyne. First touch, fantastic. You think, go on then, take the shot on. In the end, he squares the pass, and I think MacArthur atones for his error by clearing it, but should have done better there, De Bruyne.
He'll take this corner on the right-hand side. Kevin De Bruyne, right-footed, across the penalty area, recovered by Sterling. Back out right again, Kevin De Bruyne out of his feet. Right-footed cross, beautiful outside of the boot, and it's a beautiful header too by the man of the moment, the rock at the back for Man City. John Stones finds the corner. Brilliant delivery in from Kevin De Bruyne, the assist maker extraordinaire, and Stones gives City the lead, 1-0.
Ah, terrific. I mean, obviously it's a wonderful header, but it's made by the delivery. And you know what the delivery is? Outside of the boot, and it comes from, believe it or not, a really poor first touch. So as this ball comes out to De Bruyne from Raheem Sterling, his first touch just kills it, but it's right in front of him. It's not to the side, and so he just thinks, oh, I can't bend it around here. Do you know what? I've got to use the outside of my boot. Fades it beautifully right on the 6-yard box. Lovely for John Stone. Just climbs high, gets in between Tompkins and Cahill, just glances it into the far corner.
That is such a beautiful ball from Kevin De Bruyne, who makes his 100th assist for Man City in all competitions. John Stones on the score sheet with a really, really good header. That his first goal in the Premier League this season. John Stones, really, really good finish. Also scored in the Carabao Cup in the victory over Manchester United. So second in all competitions for him this campaign. And really accentuates his position right now as a key part of Pep Guardiola's team.
Well, he was delighted with that, wasn't he? And rightly so. Made by the ball in. Wonderful delivery.
Well, they've got so much right, Crystal Palace, to this point, and I'm sure going 1-0 down is somewhere in the game plan, but they'll be disappointed of all things to have gone a goal down to a header from a set piece. It's a poor ball from Townsend. Didn't quite reset from the delivery in from the far side, Crystal Palace, and it's got to be so frustrating when you've got James Tompkins and you've got Gary Cahill and Milivojevic, and you know, the kind of guys who you expect to win the ball in their own 6-yard box. Zinchenko into Stones here, the goal scorer, centre circle right to Kyle Walker. Not created much from open play so far, Manchester City, but they have the lead through this man, Stones, in the centre circle with the ball at feet.
And I guess Palace will look back at that ruefully and think, you know, that crossfield pass from MacArthur was cut out, and then they broke, got the corner, and that's how it comes. And that's the fine margins, you know, really is.
Nice ball out left to Raheem Sterling, up against Townsend, back towards Zinchenko, into Fernandinho, back towards the halfway line, and Diaz to his right is Stones. Stones right-footed in the air, finds Bernardo Silva, who tried to take it in his stride on the outside of his boot, but couldn't knock it into his own path. Eze takes over, foul De Bruyne, free kick Crystal Palace in the left-back area.
Yeah, I mean, Roy will dissect that goal. He'll just think, you know, did MacArthur really need to play a 30-yard ball across the middle of the park, running the risk of losing possession? You know, that's one thing you don't do. Oh, I listened to, you know, I think I can't remember, it might be Jason Punchin talking about Big Sam at the weekend. So, you know, that was the one of the passes they used to rule out. He'd rule out, you do not pass across the pitch. You know, you run the risk against sides of losing possession. That's exactly what Palace did there.
Good running here from City, pressing Milivojevic. It's broken to Tarek Mitchell though. Ayew, first time back to MacArthur, who's running forward. Left to Eze, away from Bernardo Silva. Infield, Eberi Eze. Pokes it back to McCarthy. Attack is fizzling out somewhat, but Palace have the ball in City territory, and that'll be enough for the moment.
Well, you can just see Eze there as he's fronted up with Kyle Walker. He doesn't want to engage him in a physical battle, and they'll come out second best, so he just ducks inside and away from the pressure. Tompkins
right to Ward. Ward's cross is away by Ruben Diaz. Ward wins the second ball. Zinchenko wins the third. City can bring it away. Gundogan back to Zinchenko. Right by the corner flag. He chips it upfield. Milivojevic gets there before Raheem Sterling. Forward pass into Townsend. Back heel to Milivojevic. Lovely skill to get away from Zinchenko. Cuts it back. Ayew's in the box. Tries a 1-2 with MacArthur, who's gone down. Challenge from Diaz. He wants a penalty. Lee Mason says no penalty.
No, I don't think so. Strong challenge. Lovely little layoff though. Nice build-up play from Palace. I just wonder, Ayew could have maybe taken a shot on, laid it off, and I didn't see too much in that foul.
Oh, of course there is VAR. Need I mention that to you? So they will be checking it out, but not too sure there'll be a clear and obvious error in that for Martin Atkinson, who's watching it at Stockley Park, West London HQ as they like to call it. Kyle Walker on the halfway line finds a ball in field to Ruben Diaz. To his left is John Stones, the goal scorer. Into Zinchenko, first time left to Raheem Sterling on the sideline. Back to John Stones again. Stones, he'll find Diaz. Diaz into Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker on the right. Goes right to left in the air. He'll find Raheem Sterling, brings it down. Sterling with newly shaven hair finds John Stones behind him. De Bruyne picks it up on the right from the diagonal ball. Back to Kyle Walker, right-footed cross. Oh, I tell you what, they could have gone anywhere there for a moment. Looked like it was going to nestle in the top corner as it came off Ayew's boot, spinning in the air. It's gone for a corner.
Yeah, well, it looked like it was because Gaeta just slipped at the last moment and actually just faded past the post. Here's that challenge from Diaz on MacArthur, but might have been a little bit of contact, but not enough for a penalty, I don't think.
Looks like he got pretty much all the ball as well in the challenge, Diaz, and so that's the right decision, we feel, from the referee Lee Mason. No need for an extended review of that one, thank goodness. And we get the corner over on the left-hand side for Manchester City. This will be their 6th of the game. It's away by Ayew. De Bruyne's ball was flat in, not really near anybody from Man City. Recovered by Sterling. Diagonal ball, it's where they scored from last time. Cleared away by Mitchell. Recovered by Jesus, who's been quiet so far. He goes back towards Kyle Walker on the halfway line. 33 minutes gone here. It's Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0. John Stones with the goal on 27 minutes, separating the two teams. Diaz to Walker on the halfway line. I'd say it's been easy so far for Manchester City. Palace have made it competitive.
Yeah, absolutely, but that's where you need a moment of brilliance, and that's what they had with that ball in from De Bruyne. Outstanding.
There's John Stones. 15 yards over the halfway and continuing to move forward into Gundogan and Fernandinho, and it's right to Bernardo Silva as they for company back to Walker. Walker into Stones in the centre circle. City with 74% possession in the 34 minutes played so far. 6 attempts, 1 on target and 1 goal.
Well, every one of their outfield players bar the goalkeeper is in the Palace half now.
Continuing to condense the match, almost all in the final third, never mind just a half. Haven't given it away though. Zinchenko tried to release Sterling. Palace tried to break. You've got to get those breaks right. If you do, you're basically through on goal from your own half, but that time the ball towards Townsend was poor. Diaz intercepted and City have it again. John Stones into Sterling's feet on the left hand side, infield, turns away from McCarthy into De Bruyne onto Jesus. De Bruyne was caught as he passed the ball away. Referee's given the free kick the Belgians' way.
Yeah, I think it's McCarthy here, just slightly late on De Bruyne, but this is brilliant from Raheem Sterling. Puts on the burners, goes on the inside. No, Sterling just outside of him and just reverses it to him. He tries to spin it around the corner to Jesus, and McCarthy catches him late. He's about 5 yards outside the box, just to the right hand side of it. Nice little area, probably within shooting range.
De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva over it. Kevin De Bruyne just walking away, considering he's just taken a bit of a whack from the challenge.
I thought you were going to say walking away gingerly there, but you probably can't with De Bruyne.
I'm too good for that. Too good for that. I wouldn't do it. I don't grab that low-hanging fruit, David. That's not me. Maybe later. Gundogan fancies it here. It's about 30 yards from goal, left-hand side of the penalty area. 4-man wall for Palace. Guaita worried. No reason to be with shots like that though from Gundogan. Got right underneath it and it's a goal kick.
Yeah, had to get it up and over the big wall because they've got some tall players in it, Palace. Got it up but didn't get it down in time.
For fans of counting chickens, if they do win this from here, Manchester City, they would go up to second, above Tottenham, above Liverpool, above Leicester. 2 points behind the leaders Manchester United, and they would have a game in hand as well. Plenty of time to go in this one yet, but an ominous sign for those pretenders to the Premier League throne.
It is, but you look at from first to 10th, what is it, 11 points of difference now. That's all quite incredible how tight it is. Just shows you every game's a tough one, and there's points being taken off obviously all the teams, and that top 6, 7, 8 sides can beat anyone.
It is just starting to spread a little bit though, with United top on 37, Everton 6th on 32. We might be getting to that stage of the season where the teams who we expect to be up there start winning on a regular basis. It's certainly happening for Man City right now, looking for an 8th win in a row in all competitions. Here's Jesus midway inside his own the Palace half on the far side. Finds the ball into Stones in the centre circle. 37 minutes gone. It's Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0 on Premier League Live. John Stones with the goal. Zinchenko back to Fernandinho. Fernandinho left to right. Diagonal again. Trying to find Bernardo Silva. Eze back defending. Volleys back to Mitchell, but his forward pass to Ayew goes straight to Fernandinho. Fernandinho brings it to Bernardo Silva again. Mitchell holds him up. He goes back to Kyle Walker. Walker finds the goal scorer John Stones on the halfway line. To his left is Ruben Dias, onto Zinchenko. Gets away from Ward, infield, Gundogan, back to Zinchenko. Into Gundogan, back to Ruben Dias. The passes continue to pop around the field from Manchester City as they tire out this hard-working Crystal Palace side. Zinchenko infield. Finds Stones behind him. To his right is Fernandinho. The skipper again nudges his way forward. Jesus with the flick. Gundogan's control. Right to Bernardo Silva in the area. Up against Mitchell. Can't take him inside or outside. Goes back to De Bruyne instead. Across the penalty area. Has to poke it away and finds Zinchenko.
Really good defending. I think Mitchell's had a superb first, 37 minutes here. Bernardo Silva just hasn't got past him at all.
He's had to work hard for it. Tyrick Mitchell, here he is again up against Bernardo Silva. Chips it towards Gundogan and flicks it on Jesus for two. Guaita makes the save. It's a good block as well from Tompkins on its way through. It's taking all the sting from that Jesus header.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't got the pace to get past Mitchell, but he's got the craft. Lovely little ball into Gundogan. He flicks it on, and there's Jesus just trying to get a march on Tompkins, but he does well. Just does enough, Tompkins. Little diving header, but puts him off.
Tompkins now clearing upfield, up towards the halfway line. Not reaching it though. Zinchenko with the first header. Fernandinho with the second. Milivojevic the third. MacArthur with a wallop upfield. Handball against Kevin De Bruyne. And that's a free kick to Palace midway inside their own half.
Yeah, there's been quite a few of them, I guess, in the last few minutes. Just hoofs upfield, and really they're just coming straight back. But they can't get out at this moment in time, Palace. Relentless pressure. They'll be pleased to get in at half-time 1-0, I think.
Won just 1 point this season from a losing position. Crystal Palace, only Burnley have done worse than them in the context of this season. Burnley have won nothing in games where they have been losing this campaign. But of course, as with all stats, you can prove anything. If you look at recent games against City here, Palace have got some really, really good results. 6 minutes and change to go into the half-time whistle. Ball is with Edison, the City goalkeeper, away to our left, out of his own area, with the ball at feet. Finds a pass to Stones and then gets it back again. Ayew nominally closing them both down. For those that missed kick-off here, the headline from the team news: Wilfried Zaha not in the matchday squad for this one for Crystal Palace. We're assuming at this moment just rested.
It's a knock, I believe. That's what I've heard. A knock in training.
That's what you say when you've got no idea. That's what I always do. Someone just got, just say knock. But I'm sure the game against West Ham coming up, game against Wolves coming up, will be more the focus for Roy Hodgson than this one. It'd be a good time to take him, Kouyaté, out of the starting 11.
Well, I was hoping for a good game here because I'm missing my pub quiz tonight for this.
Well, you can't go in the pub, can you?
Well, no, but it's by Zoom. So
we'll crack it open.
Well,
we'll try and answer together.
Yes.
We'll get the audience involved.
Okay.
We'll use collective knowledge. No one will know.
Yeah, we'll just the pack's getting sent through as we speak.
Okay. I look forward to some second half trivia. Bernardo Silva asking questions here of Tyrick Mitchell. Has to move away from him, back to Fernandinho, cross to Sterling, over his head, away by Ward. Second header from Cahill, and a spinning clearance from Milivojevic wasn't cleanly connected with, recovered by Stones, who finds Diaz. Left to Zinchenko, approaching the final third from the left. Into Sterling, back to goal, poke to Zinchenko. Kevin De Bruyne slips it into Sterling, out of his body, challenged Tompkins. Tompkins says it came off Sterling last for a Palace throw. Liam Mason doesn't agree, but Tompkins is convinced.
Well, he just covers across really well here, Tompkins. It's a heavy touch from Sterling. I'm not too sure that got a nick. We don't know. It's hard to see from here.
Throw-in taken, work back down the sideline to Diaz, who looks towards the centre circle, and Kyle Walker. To his left is Stones. Ayew chasing down. De Bruyne back to Walker. To Fernandinho, back to Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker on the right. Goes cross field, but his diagonal is poor. Ward intercepts, and Josh Townsend the chance to find a pass to Ayew if he can hold it up, and he can. He's done well to a point before Fernandinho slammed the door in his face. Referee says illegally. I think that's somewhat generous for Jordan Ayew.
I mean, obviously this is Fernandinho doing what he should be doing. So he's got pressure from behind Ayew from his centre half DS, and then Fernandinho's pressing from in front, just trying to win that ball back. It's John Stones actually, and in the end Ayew just clatters into Fernandinho. Fernandinho can't believe it, but it's gone Palace's way.
Final 3 minutes of regulation time at the end of this half. Free kick to Palace on the halfway line, right of centre. Fired up towards Gary Cahill. Stones wins it. As they closing down Silva, recovered by James MacArthur. Volley back to Mitchell on the halfway. City pressing up. Mitchell running left. He's done really, really well. But as they tried to flick it to MacArthur, when the ball was intended for him, Walker clears against MacArthur, who blocks again. Gundogan clears against MacArthur again. He's working hard out there, James MacArthur. Could do with some help.
Yeah, I mean, the ball comes into Eze here, tries a little flip round the corner, and we've got to be honest, the last few times he's had it, he's lost possession. He's got to try and retain that ball a little bit better.
Another chance for Crystal Palace to get back in this game before half-time here, but City have won it back in the right-back area, up to Jesus, fouled by Cahill, says the referee. Cahill stay down after that.
Well, he's sort of hurt his ankle here, Cahill. I'm sure he'll be okay, but just clattered into Jesus. He had no need, but that's him, full-blooded, full contact. Ball comes up to Jesus, a good 10 yards inside his own half. Cahill's following him all the way. Just seemed to have maybe rolled his ankle.
One of quite a few Crystal Palace players out of contract at the end of this season. Gary Cahill signed a 2-year deal following his release from Chelsea.
Well, Dougie Freedman, they've got a big job on, haven't they? Like you say, they've got a lot of players out of contract.
19 of the current 30-man squad and the manager all running out of their contracts come the end of this season. Could be some big changes at this club.
That's right, and you imagine what that dressing room's like, all chat, I guess, in terms of, what's going on.
Throw in here for Manchester City, whose first team squad are in a bit more secure positions in their employment. Zinchenko with the throw, maybe the one whose future is most in doubt of those that's out there. Feels like they've been trying to sell him for about 8 years. He keeps working his way back into the team. Mendy on the bench tonight, perennially injured. Cancelo has played there a lot, just rotated out tonight. Throwing work back towards the halfway line. Ruben Diaz into the centre circle, and Stones. Really good work from Jordan Ayew. Plenty of effort from him this evening to chase down the ball. Needs some support in the end.
Yeah, look, he knows it's a sort of thankless task. He's just doing it for his team there, and when he's had possession, he's done really well. It's just his support staff around him, players around him, haven't really retained it well enough. He has.
Fernandinho's forward pass has been won back by James Tompkins, who's had a good game tonight for Crystal Palace. Back to Guaita as helped off the ball by Kyle Walker on the halfway line. And you mentioned it earlier, David Connolly, Eze doesn't fancy that physical challenge, and you can see why.
Yeah, look, I was playing with my son in the garden today, and he's got an older brother, and every time he comes into contact with him, his older brother's going to win the ball. So I'm saying you've got to get away from that contact. It's exactly like Eze. He knows, gets into a physical match with him, he'll come out, second best. So he's just trying to get away from that contact. As soon as he does, he loses the battle.
Free kick here for Palace on the halfway, which they fire long, trying to find Tompkins. A bit short though. City can clear it once, then twice. Walker away with the second attempt. Right-footed upfield, spinning wide. Sterling there. Townsend's won it back. Referee says that's enough for the opening half of football. And it's a half of football which has seen Manchester City dominate possession, as you'd imagine. somewhat unexpectedly for this season, scoring the opening goal after 27 minutes. John Stones with it, De Bruyne with the setup, his 100th assist in his career for City in all competitions. As things stand, Guardiola's side are going second, but a second half to come. Analysis to follow this break. 1-0 at half-time. You're listening to Premier League Live.
20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of talk sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
When I was at Palace, I would not let them on the training ground. How did you enforce that? Because it's my training ground, you don't go on it.
100% engagement.
I read this and I immediately thought of Simon Jordan.
Look what you could have won. Here's that. Now you get this pile of pup, right?
Warning. Dangerous opinions ahead.
Jim White versus Simon Jordan.
Disagree to disagree continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Radio.
Your trusted 24-hour resource for breaking news and non-stop conversation.
We've reached a perilous turning point.
Unparalleled radio for unprecedented times.
Doing nothing in the face of this quite rapid spread now is not an option.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Celebrating 20 swashbuckling years of talk sport.
Unbelievable!
The passion. The pain.
It's a shocking defeat.
The prima donnas.
I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hop, and you don't stop.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker.
Didn't say this in my contract when I joined Talk Sport, mate.
20 glorious years of talk sport.
I'll do a lot of things, so I ain't into that.
20 years of talk sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me, Alan.
And extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of talk sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
There will be a mad, dirty rush to turn around and say that taxpayers' money should go to bail out football clubs that won't be able to get the one commodity that needs to take a reduction, players' pay cuts.
A daily landscape of fire, football and feud.
Are you confused.com? I'm confused as to why I'm sitting opposite you at times, yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Celebrating 20 years of talk sport.
Back of the net!
They said it wouldn't work.
What, you want to know what I want to say?
Sometimes it didn't.
Serious? Illegal ads.
But somehow it did.
And wrongdoing by the US government.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of talk sport.
Half-time at the Etihad Stadium in the game between Manchester City and Crystal Palace. It's 1-0 to City at the break. Goal kick upfield. MacArthur heads on as they brings it under control and tries to chip the goalkeeper here from distance. Certainly creative from Barry Eze. Edison was off his line, but you've got to hit the target to ask the question. This one goes over the top. Not exactly a prolific goal scorer, just the 3 in the Premier League this season. He's searching for his 100th Premier League assist tonight. Maybe now, as he's found Sterling, who shoots. Back to Gundogan. Another effort blocked by Cahill. De Bruyne with another effort blocked by McCarthy this time. Scramble in the area. McCarthy clear. Townsend picks it up. Sterling in the back of Townsend. Townsend desperate to be fouled, and Sterling obliges. Out right again. Kevin De Bruyne out of his feet. Right-footed cross. Beautiful outside of the boot. And it's a beautiful header too by the man of the moment. The rock at the back for Man City. John Stones finds the corner. Brilliant delivery in from Kevin De Bruyne, the assist maker extraordinaire. And Stones gives City the lead. 1-0. Yeah, really good goal from John Stones. We mentioned his first goal in the Premier League this season, second in all competitions. 171 games in the Premier League, John Stones. His second ever finish in this competition. First goal we scored in the Premier League since scoring for Everton against Manchester United in April 2015. So a rare scorer, but David Connolly, rarely has John Stones been in such good form.
No, that's right. Obviously excellent at the back, and you could see what that header meant to him. He got up in between Tompkins and Cahill. Obviously a perfect ball in from De Bruyne, absolutely outstanding, put on a plate. That's the quality that he's got in and around him. Look, defensively he's not going to be tested today, is he? You know, John Stones, let's be frank, it'll be all about on the ball mentality when they turn it over, being focused and concentrated. And you know, they've done everything I guess that they've had to do today from a defensive aspect, which hasn't been a lot. And you know, going forward it's just been a challenge to try and break down this very disciplined, dogged Palace defence.
City this season, we mentioned pre-game, have been solid and unspectacular in many of these games. They put Burnley to the sword back in November, but since then, comfortable 2-0 win against Newcastle, comfortable 1-0 win against Brighton, similar story in several games this season. Do you expect them to crush Palace and have the desire to do so in the second half, or will this be another cruise to 3 points from here on in?
I think they know that Palace is traditionally a tough task for them. Yeah, they've got the bench, which is very, very strong, you know, to come on and change things, make no mistake, if they need to. But I think he'll be relatively happy. He'll know that they've got to move the ball quickly. He'll know that their passing's got to be inch perfect, you know, and maybe they can force Palace into rush clearances or square passes, whatever, turn the ball over. But, you know, I guess it'll be a case of pretty much, you know, keep going, doing what you're doing. They got the first goal in the first half, which is always really important going into half time. And
for Crystal Palace, just 1-0 down, certainly in this game. That is what the manager would have wanted at this point. If he can get to 80 minutes at 1-0, will we see Benteke and maybe Batshuayi, the attacking changes?
Well, possibly, because by then Ayew might have put a real shift in, you know, and I mean they started ever so well, but you could tell they just got a bit fatigued, you know, that early endeavour from McCarthy and MacArthur, Milivojevic at times, then they got a bit, you know, their clearances were rushed and they were miskicking it, miscuing it, the ball was coming back, and, you know, they are going to be absolutely out on their feet, and that's where obviously Man City could go and get a second or a third.
David Connolly for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Half time here, it's Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0. Second half to come in a few minutes. Elsewhere today, it finished Sheffield United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3, and Ndombele with a pick of the goals for Spurs. Just before we came on air, Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0 was the scoreline from Anfield. It's a result that leaves Manchester United top of the table at the end of this weekend. Let's hear from the two bosses post-match, speaking to our colleagues at Anfield, Jurgen Klopp and the United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
It was a really good game. It was a tough game, and what we obviously miss is a goal, that's the thing. It's an old rule. You have to use your chances when you have them. We played brilliant football in the first half against a top side. Created chances, put them under pressure. They had nothing really to do with the game apart from always counter-attacking. It's always possible for them, of course, but we even defended that really well. Second half, that's what I mean. We had a really big one with Bobby, I think. I'm not sure who defended that, Maguire or De Gea. Couldn't see it back yet. But they had two chances as well. So in the end, it's 0-0. We played the football we wanted to play. That's the important thing, but a lot of improvement performance-wise to the last games, to the last two games especially, and so I'm really happy about that. So that was a good step for us after now maybe the longest break we had for a long time. We had a lot of training, and I saw a lot of things we did in training. So if we keep going like that, we will win football games and score goals. That's clear. We just have to do it.
You're right there. We didn't start well. When we knew they were going to come out like a house on fire. They always do. High tempo, intensity. We didn't impose ourselves enough on the game. I thought first half it's almost like we didn't connect to enough passes to get a foothold in the game. Second half I thought we grew and grew, and towards the end I felt, well, we can win this, but just wasn't to be.
They had the two chances. They were really big, honestly, but that's the quality of United. The individual quality of United is incredible, I have to say. That's absolutely incredible. Physically, technically, there's so much potential in that team. But we played the game we wanted to play, and then you cannot avoid or deny 100% of them. And we, in the end, it's Ali's job, actually, to save our lives from time to time. He did that in two situations. How probably De Gea did in 2 or 3 other situations, and that's how it should be.
Intensity, 2 teams that still both want to win, just weren't capable of winning. Their keeper had 2 fantastic saves. You feel a bit disappointed that we didn't take them. Paul and Bruno, they're 2 massive chances, and we had other moments as well that we maybe, don't want to say wasted, but we made the wrong decision, and they went into nothing. I've got to say, 2 fantastic saves, but some good play by us to create them, and unlucky not to score.
What do you take from this then, apart from giving me a hand warmer?
I've got to say, the feeling of being disappointed coming away with only a point is a good feeling to have, and the squad is also disappointed not coming away with a win. I think that shows how far we've come.
Carry on Solskjaer there post-match at Anfield. 0-0 it finished between Liverpool and Manchester United. The Red Devils will end the weekend top of the table, but City are close on their tails, especially if they win this one against Crystal Palace, which they are as things stand. It's Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0. John Stones with the goal on 27 minutes. The second half follows this break. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at talksport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to talksport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Goff! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double-strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. TalkSport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on TalkSport.
TalkSport. Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents, and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from talksport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. TalkSport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0 from the Etihad Stadium. I'm your host, Tom Rennie. Alongside me is the former top flight and international striker, David Connolly. This is Premier League Live. John Stones with the only goal of the game so far after 27 minutes, having an extended briefing with Pep Guardiola pitch side as we are just about to get back underway for the start of this second period of the game. No changes, it seems, for City or Palace at the break. So here are the 11, starting with the home team, Manchester City. Ederson in goal, back four of Alexander Zinchenko, Ruben Dias, John Stones and Kyle Walker. Fernandinho, the captain, in the centre of midfield. Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne alongside him. Gabriel Jesus up front, Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling on the wings. On the bench, Zach Steffen, the US goalkeeper, Rodri, Ferran Torres, Benjamin Mendy, Riyad Mahrez, João Cancelo, Phil Foden, Liam Delap and Tommy Doyle. As for Crystal Palace, Vicente Guaita in goal, back four, left to right, Tyrick Mitchell, Gary Cahill, James Tompkins and Joel Ward, James McCarthy and Luka Milivojevic, Jordan Ayew up front with Andros Townsend and Aberi Eze completing the 11. On the bench, just 7 named of the possible 9. Jack Butland, Patrick Van Arnholt, Scott Dan, Nathaniel Klein, Christian Benteke, Michi Batshuayi and Jairo Riedewald, Wilfred Zaha and Kouyaté not in the squad tonight. Lee Mason, our referee, Martin Atkinson, the VAR. Already an early corner at the start of this half for Manchester City. This their 7th of the match. Strong challenge on Jesus to win it. Cross comes in from Kevin De Bruyne, cleared away by Cahill, recovered by Bernardo Silva, back to Kevin De Bruyne, cross comes in, deflected, could go anywhere, could go in, went into the arms of Guaita in goal.
Well, just going back to that challenge, there was a ball over the top for Gabriel Jesus. He ran onto it, got his head there first, headed it, and Gary Cahill clattered into him, and it brought my mind back to the Ryan Mason challenge, you know, if you remember. And, you know, I know Gary Cahill is full-blooded, but at times, you know, I mean, there was no way he was going to get there first, and he just smashed into Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. There's been in control, you know, and he got away with that, like he has done a couple of times, rolling around on the ground, you know, whereas Jesus has come off a couple of times now, been smashed by Cahill, and I think the referees have got, you know, be wise to that as well.
Given as a corner kick, no foul by Lee Mason, so no punishment for the challenge. City coming forward right hand side. Raheem Sterling, what skill to get away from Tyrick Mitchell. He then dives to the ground trying to win a penalty. He should be getting yellow carded for that in my view.
Well, I think he had a little nick from behind, maybe from Mitchell, and then he delayed going down, and yeah, then it looked like a dive.
One of the most successful winners of penalties in Premier League history.
Or fouled. You could say fouled.
I would, but
you don't want to.
He's won 20 penalties during his time in the Premier League, and he certainly dived for the one here against Fulham earlier in December this season. And tried to dive for one there as well. He's on his feet here, trying to get on the end of a through ball over the top to him on the right hand side, but that's too heavy and into touch.
Well, he must have obviously got one against the Hammers, has he? Is that why?
He's got one against everybody, isn't he? But I mean, we're seeing the replay here, and he's overrun it and decides, well, I'll take a dive and hope for the best. And that is what happened here. I mean, I think that's indisputable.
Yes, you're right.
You know, sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, and I'm glad that wasn't given as well. 48 minutes gone. Palace are in their home strip, away from home tonight, with the vertical stripes of red and blue, royal blue shorts and socks, white numbering and trim on the shirts. City wearing sky blue shirts this season with the bottom of the swimming pool effect on the front, white shorts and sky blue socks. They attack the goal away to our left as we look in the second period.
Because obviously we had the Raul, just coming back to Gary Cahill, we had the Raul Jimenez, didn't we? You know, the challenge on him, and you know, I know Ryan a little bit. I used to go in and coach at Tottenham, and you know, obviously, I don't know. I just think refs need to just be, you know, not get so easily fooled at times by defenders, you know, smashing into a player and then just rolling on the ground thinking, oh, they've got away with that one. Yeah. You've got to be in control of your body, and Cahill a couple of times here tonight hasn't.
Reminds me a bit of another Premier League veteran, his former teammate David Luiz. I think a lot was...
that was him against Jimenez, wasn't it?
Yeah, not a great deal has been made of that, really. And we were doing the commentary on the day, and I thought that's a reckless challenge there from Luiz, flying in the way he did.
Yeah. And we'll have a look. We'll have a lot of American listeners, won't we? You know, there'll be a lot of maybe American football fans and, you know, etc. They fly in, don't they, as well? The challenges over there and consequences of that now that's coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. But, anyway, 5 minutes gone in the second half here. Let's get back to the action with City on the ball. Forward towards De Bruyne on the right hand side, on to Sterling approaching the final third. Two players around him, back to Kyle Walker. De Bruyne on the sideline, into Sterling, wants a return ball. Sterling takes a run instead, trying to get away from MacArthur. Into De Bruyne, back to Sterling, right-hand side up against Tyrick Mitchell. Done well to hold him up, challenge MacArthur, corner Man City.
Yeah, he did really well just to get a corner there, Raheem. Nice little 1-2 with De Bruyne, but he was slightly ahead of him and right on the end line. He had nowhere to go, just tried to play it off MacArthur. He's on a corner.
Corner for City, attacking that south stand as they like to do in the second half. Slightly bigger of the two stands here at the Etihad.
Well, not the biggest, are they, City? You know, not blessed with height there, apart from Diaz and Stones.
De Bruyne's delivery in from the right. The referee has stopped the play as the ball was whipped in. Not quite sure why. Saying something to John Stones here, and the corner will inexplicably be retaken. That'll be annoying for Palace, so they got the first one away.
Yep.
Another chance for De Bruyne. 8th corner of the game for Manchester City. Right-footed, out-swinging. Fernandinho underneath it. Missed his header. McCarthy has about 5 touches in the area before he clears it. Only as far as Zinchenko, finds Gundogan. Strong challenge, Tompkins. Break to Diaz. Referee has given a free kick against Gundogan for
I think getting in the way.
Falling into Milivojevic?
Yes, I believe so. Good, really good foot in here from Tompkins as Gundogan was just, you know, making his way to the edge of the box. Strong challenge from Tompkins. Gundogan falls over and then just sort of half catches Milivojevic. Goes down and, you know, as long as you stay there, you know, I think you're going to get the free kick.
Sometimes I do wonder what referees are doing.
Yeah, so do I.
Do.
I mean, it's just so easy to deceive, you know.
Well, Nuno of Wolves had his say on Lee Mason recently, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, that's right.
And it wasn't about a decision, he said, it was about just how he was in general play.
Well, it's almost as if he didn't think he knew, you know, footballers and you know, how to manage manage a game, which is, you know, it's like being a teacher in a classroom, isn't it, you know?
Well, I think we've got similar criticism from the last couple of minutes, but again, you know, tough job and all that. Crossfield, left to right. Doesn't mean you can't do it well, though. Here's De Bruyne into Sterling on the right-hand side. Back to Fernandinho. Challenged by Ayew, who's worked so hard tonight for Palace. Wins it here. Milivojevic to Townsend in the centre circle. Superb challenge from Diaz to get them back on the ball. Lee Mason then gets in the way of Fernandinho. They both run into each other. Fernandinho bounces off him, keeps possession. I don't know. Was that the ref's fault? Where's he going to go? He's got to be on the pitch somewhere, I suppose. Crossfield, left to right. Stones finds Sterling up against Mitchell in the area from the right. Right-footed cross. Oh, it's a lovely delivery if there was a striker in there, but only Bernardo Silva sniffing around. It was too high for him.
Yeah, it was. Certainly too high for City's front men. Very small. Don't have a big target man in there to get on the end of this. It's got to be absolutely perfect. Slightly ahead of him, I'd say. I don't think it's the best ball, to be honest.
You haven't got to be a giant, though, to be a threat in the air. You saw Mikel Antonio yesterday, less than 6 foot, and he always seems to be winning flick-ons. Jordan Ayew maybe not the tallest as well for Palace. He's won a flick-on here. Sometimes it's about the run, the player themselves, right?
Yeah, it could be the run, could be the cross. It's just got to be a really good ball in. Got to get in between people and, you know, finding little spaces. So that's what makes the ball from De Bruyne so special.
Pressing here from City, wins the ball back upfield. Bernardo Silva and Gundogan combining. It's good work by Joel Ward to stop the advance, pushing the City man into touch and winning a throw-in for his team as well. Is there a way back into this game for Crystal Palace?
Well, while it's 1-0, yeah, you'll always get a chance, you know, absolutely.
They've not been out of their own half in this second period. We're 8-9 minutes into it now. Throwing down the line. Another one will be forthcoming here for Crystal Palace. It was Ward in, off the field, I think from Gundogan. Just wonder what the game plan is for Palace at this point. Just stay in it.
Yeah, absolutely, just stay in it. That's right.
They do have Michy Batshuayi back on loan at Selhurst Park to no great effect so far on the bench. Also Christian Benteke, who has found his scoring boots this season, or at least his scoring forehead at times. Scored a great header at London Stadium a few weeks ago. Benteke then got sent off later in the game. City have the ball in their own penalty area, ball at feet. Diaz back to Ederson, onto Stones. John Stones, the goal scorer. Second in all competitions this season, first in the Premier League. Brings it to Fernandinho. Over the top down the right channel to the on-rushing Kyle Walker, approaching the final third from the right-hand side here. Back towards Kevin De Bruyne. He'll find Stones. Stones to his left and Diaz. 55 minutes on the clock. Manchester City 1, Crystal Palace 0 on Premier League Live. Gundogan round the corner. Bernardo Silva first time left to Zinchenko. Zinchenko's cross blocked by Joel Ward, who's got through some serious work tonight. Ward is given another corner away.
Yeah, it's good blocking though, just to stop that first cross.
Yet another corner for Manchester City, their 9th of the match. This time Bernardo Silva has come over to take it on the left-hand side. City once again send Stones and Diaz forward. It's away by Milivojevic, brought down by Townsend. Pickpocketed by Gundogan, who strikes, and strikes superbly. Strikes straight in. That's a second for Manchester City. A curling, delicious effort from Gundogan, leaving Guaita no chance. And City celebrate their second. It's 2-0.
Oh, it's another brilliant goal. He's in such good form, isn't it, at the minute, Gundogan, and ball falls on the edge of the box. Townsend tries to take it out the sky, loses possession to Gundogan, takes a couple of touches to set himself on the inside. He's always looking to bend it into that top corner, places it perfectly just beyond the outstretched reach of Guaita. Just gets his flailing arm, tries to tip it round the corner, but he can't, just nestles in that far corner. Absolutely wonderful strike, terrific technique from Gundogan. What a season he's having.
Fourth goal in the Premier League this season for Ilkay Gundogan. Fantastic finish into the top corner, and that may well kill off any semblance of Crystal Palace resistance. Frustration for Andros Townsend as well, who won the ball and then got robbed, and now Guaita's getting robbed here by Jesus in his own penalty area. Oh, and he's just found a release to Gary Cahill, who's knocked the ball into touch for a corner for Manchester City.
Well, that almost comes straight from the kickoff. Tompkins gives the ball straight back to Guaita, tries to be clever, and Jesus reads it, nearly nicks it off him, and Cahill has to put it out for a corner. Got away with that, Guaita, had a little stumble as well.
I mean, there was nowhere to go for him. He obviously didn't want to just pump it upfield, but it would have been the safer thing to do in that situation. Palace look totally lost at the moment, and they've got a corner to defend on the right-hand side, which De Bruyne will take. Away by Tompkins, who's got in the way of so much tonight. Eze, he's done really well. Gets away from his man and finds a forward pass to Townsend. Sterling's fouling Townsend. Referee didn't see it even as a foul. Townsend plays on. McCarthy chests it into MacArthur. Back to McCarthy. On to Ayew. Players swarming around him. Ayew goes back to Ward. Down the line to Jordan Ayew again, who's in the area. Gets a shot away too. Really, really good play from Jordan Ayew. Shot blocked by Diaz. Corner Palace.
Yeah, lovely pass into him as well. Really, really good. I'm glad he took the shot on, but nice block from Diaz.
Will be a corner to Crystal Palace on the attacking right-hand side here. Chance to maybe make the height advantage that David Connolly has been talking about pay off for the first time in this match. It's their first corner compared to the 10 that City have had to this point. It's from the right-hand side. It's these sort of situations that need to lead to a goal for Palace, you feel. Flicked on by Cahill, then by Tompkins. Jesus away, MacArthur for company. He's done well, MacArthur, to win a throw for his team.
Well, it was just a little bit of a heavy-headed touch there from Tompkins. If he just glanced that, I think they would have been in, but he put too much on the flick.
It's a throw in back to Tarek Mitchell, who pokes it down the line. Pokes it into touch. MacArthur thought it was a throw in for Palace. Assistant referee and ref didn't. It's into touch, and we'll see a substitution here for Manchester City, and Bernardo Silva continues to scratch around for form. No longer in this one. He's going to be withdrawn to be replaced by Phil Foden, who of course scored that fantastic winning goal against Brighton last time out.
Here's another shot here of this finish from Gundogan. Lovely little feet to cut inside, and yeah, just curled beautifully in that far corner.
Few City fans on social media pre-game were a bit miffed that Phil Foden wasn't starting this evening.
Probably managing minutes, I think, like he's doing with his squad. Likes to rotate, and his guessing game really, wasn't it, in terms of what the team would be. You look at that front unit. Mahrez has played in there, Foden's played in there, Jesus has played, De Bruyne has played in there. So he's obviously just trying to manage his squad here and keep them fresh.
Do you have to manage minutes of a 20-year-old?
Well, I don't know. I guess, that's been level for a couple of seasons now. A lot of people think he should have been playing more last season, never mind this.
Scored on his last 2 appearances in the Premier League, Phil Foden. Mentioned the winner against Brighton, also scored in the victory over Chelsea at the Bridge. And he's on here as De Bruyne looks to find him, right to left. Beautiful ball, lovely first touch by Foden, but at full pace. Well, slipped over there as Ward was desperately trying to get back to him. Ward upfield to Ayew, who's won the header well, but he flicks it to no one because no one's up with him. Straight through to Edison, away to our right, all in black, the City goalkeeper. 60 minutes gone, 2-0 to Manchester City against Crystal Palace on Premier League Live. John Stones back to Edison. He's done well tonight, as Ayew up front, been that kind of battering ram centre forward, good energy, couple of shots away as well, but the other players just haven't been able to get anywhere near him. MacArthur, can you really play both of those players if you want to get support to a striker? Maybe not. Milivojevic trying to do it now, but City playing through them. Zinchenko on the left hand side, infield to Gundogan. Brilliant control considering the ball wasn't the best to him. 1-2 with Foden, challenged Tompkins. Breaks towards Fernandinho here. Foden took a stud on the toe from Tompkins as he brought that one away. No foul though, I don't think, and it certainly wasn't given by Lee Mason. City in possession over on the right hand side, about 10 over the halfway line, 76% of the ball across the game so far. Crossfield to Zinchenko from De Bruyne into Foden again. Tompkins tight in on Phil Foden. Ruben Dias in from the left hand side, right footed, finds Jesus out of his body, back to De Bruyne, out of his feet, shoots that goal, not too far away. Kevin De Bruyne trying to spin the ball away from Guaita in goal, got plenty of spin, but it was off target.
Yeah, good hold up play from Jesus, just sets it to De Bruyne. I mean, it's ambitious, to be honest. He's always fading into that far corner. He did have Walker on the outside, I think might have been a better option, but took the shot on. It's unlucky. Gets a round of applause, he gets a clap from Guardiola.
Well, as it stands, City going second in the Premier League table, and all being well, with victory over Aston Villa in their next game in 3 days' time, they'll be top of the table before Manchester United play against Fulham an hour or so after that game. People will be talking about them as potential title winners then, I'm sure. The Brighton win was the first time they've been in the top 4 this season, and we're already nudging at the halfway mark. Ball is with Edison, short pass to Stones, midway inside his own half here, right hand side. Diagonal right to left, intercepted by Ward, heads towards Townsend, who was very busy in the opening 20 minutes of this match but has faded in impact in the game since. Tompkins back to Guaita, finds Cahill into Milivojevic, and that's calm play from Palace. Left to Mitchell, De Bruyne pressing him to Eze, Walker against him. Walker giving him some close physical attention but didn't foul him. Eze wanted the free kick. And the ref's giving a free kick to City, what?
Yeah, I don't know if it was for the handball, was it? Maybe when Eze fell down and put his hand on it.
Good spot from David Connolly, certainly evaded me, but it must have been something. It was very strange there that Walker just kind of put the ball down to take the free kick.
Well, just as a stat here that's just popped up for Gundogan, he's got 4 goals in his last 6, as many as he got in his previous 55.
Such a sweet strike of the football, Ilkay Gundogan. A real favourite of Pep Guardiola, and you can see why technically he's such a brilliant player. I think I'm right in saying he was Guardiola's first signing at Manchester City when he was brought in from Dortmund. Been around a long time now, Gundogan. And has given the City what is surely an unassailable lead here against Crystal Palace. Seeing the subs going out for a freshener for the Eagles. If Roy Hudson wants to make some changes, Batshuayi down there would be his 7th appearance on the bench this season if he comes on, yet to score on his return to Crystal Palace. Having a chat pitch side with Benjamin Mendy. Wonder if Mendy might get some minutes here as David Connolly says, City look to rotate their squad. Ball is back with Guaita for Crystal Palace. Can they fashion a chance here? They look a beaten side, truth be told here. Whether it's a lack of ideas or a lack of intent or thought about the games that are coming up.
Well, at the minute they just can't. I mean, every time Tompkins gets the ball, he's going back to Guaita, and you can tell he's frustrated. There's nothing on, hard to get, and they've just lost possession again, playing out.
Got a nice little break after this, Crystal Palace, because they're out of the FA Cup, beaten by Wolves last week, so they won't be back in action until they host West Ham on the 26th, and maybe the thought of a few days off is in the minds of a few of these Crystal Palace players here at 2-0 down. Here's Gundogan from the left-hand side for Manchester City as they're rather easing their way to this victory. I wouldn't say they're going all out for a third, fourth, fifth, and maybe that does. We spoke about it earlier on. If there were fans here to entertain, dazzle and delight, maybe they might have pushed further on, but there's not a great deal of need to from this point.
No, they look very, very comfortable. Enjoying themselves out there, zipping it around now.
Here's Zinchenko into Gundogan. Back to Ruben Dias. Upfield towards Jesus. Surely a handball from Jesus. Ricochets through to Guaita, so there's no real debate to be had there. Tweet from Benjamin, who says, wasn't Tom Rennie saying the other day on another show that De Bruyne was trash because he doesn't score enough goals? I didn't say that. We'll come back to that as they might score another goal here, Man City. Raheem Sterling challenged by Milivojevic after Palace gave it straight back to City. It's going to be another corner. Yeah, terrific recovery challenge here. I think he gives it away, Milivojevic, and then actually wins it back. De Bruyne puts in Sterling. You think, go on then, just cut it back. Jesus is on free, Foden's free, but it takes too long, Sterling. He's not quite at the races, is he, so far tonight, Sterling? Phil Foden turns around, he knows he should have had that cross earlier from Sterling. De Bruyne's corner comes in from the right-hand side. Diaz is there, save Guaita. Stones for a second. John Stones has got a second. Well, when it's going your way, it's going your way. And John Stones is the man in form at Manchester City right now. A brace from City's rock at the back. John Stones with 2, City with 3. And they're going second tonight.
Yeah, brilliant ball in. I mean, Diaz gets a run up, rises above Tompkins, heads it down towards goal. Guaita just kicks it away. It then rebounds to John Stones on around the penalty spot, and he just lashes it with his left peg straight down the middle. Guaita didn't really have time to react. By the time he did, the ball was past him, and 3-0 for City.
Smiles all round from Manchester City. John Stones, probably the most surprised player on the field to be on a hat-trick. Now, usually what Guardiola does, he takes players off when they're on a hat-trick to rest their legs. I wonder if John Stones will make the 90 minutes here. Probably. But we will see.
Well, what a turnaround. There was a time when Stones was just gathering moss. Not anymore.
Very nice. Very, very nice. That's why you earn the middle-of-the-range bucks here on Premier League Live. Change for Crystal Palace whilst we've been giving you that witty banter. Jairo Riedewald has come on in midfield to replace Luka Milivojevic. If Riedewald is on, then they really must have given up the ghost here, Crystal Palace. Perennial substitute during his time at the club.
Well, we discussed, the chances pre-game and the odds, which, were, 5-1 on City, and I felt that was very, very short, but obviously they know what they're doing, the bookies.
Yeah, I mean, there was almost no chance of a Crystal Palace win here from the moment Wilfred Zaha was missing, I think many would suggest. And they've looked like they've needed someone to carry them upfield at times, and Townsend did it for a bit, didn't he, in the first half, but really since the opening Stones goal, this game's been over.
Yeah. I mean, the second was so important for them. It really was. They didn't get that, did they? Against the likes of Brighton and other games, didn't really get maybe that second goal.
Yeah, it was maybe the last kick of the game, the Sterling penalty that would have made it 2 against Brighton. Certainly very late on. We'll be just hoping for a clean sheet now, and that's been a regular feature of City's play in recent times. 5 clean sheets in 8 home fixtures this campaign. one of the meanest defences in English football at the moment, Manchester City. And their most impressive defender is also the man who's their top scorer tonight. Ruben Dias as well has looked fantastic whenever he's been challenged this evening, which hasn't been many times, but when he has, he's been up to it.
Well, I remember one of his first game, Dias, and it was against West Ham, and Mikel Antonio out-muscled him, and I thought, oh, has he got the muscle for the Premier League? But since then, he's looked very, very strong. Maybe it was just Antonio that day, I don't know, that got the better of him.
Well, I think it's not just Ruben Dias, as you say, that's been manhandled and bullied by Mikel Antonio in this year-long rich vein of form he's been in when fit for West Ham. But he certainly looks like he's improving with every time I see him, Ruben Dias. There's City made a couple of changes here. Gundogan is off, De Bruyne is off, Ferran Torres and João Cancelo on for the final 20 minutes here with City 3-0 up.
Yep, again this is him, Guardiola just managing his players, taking off Gundogan and De Bruyne. Been two superb players for them here tonight.
Here's Eze for Crystal Palace, very quiet in this second half. Barry Eze, they're in City territory for a brief period. On to Townsend, here's Eze, back to McCarthy. And Josh Townsend on the right hand side. Foden and Cancelo for company. Eze back to Townsend. Running down a blind alley somewhat down the right hand side. Desperately wants someone to tackle him so he can get a throw. And Josh Townsend, Zinchenko does. Throw into Crystal Palace right hand side. Ward takes the throw into Eze. Ball pass forward. Foden intercepts. Clearance blocked. It's throw into Manchester City on the left hand side. Be interesting here to see how City play out these last 20 minutes, because there is a real sense at the club, certainly from watching the team and listening to some of the interviews with Guardiola and others, that they really are putting a lot of prescience on keeping clean sheets, defending, look at being solid, which hasn't really been a byproduct of Guardiola for much of his 5 years here.
No, that's right. That would be really important to them. And as I heard that interview with Stones saying that, be a defender first, but it's not bad when you're a goal-scoring defender as well.
Yeah, he's finally started being a defender first, and he's become a goal scorer at the same time. When it's going your way, it's going your way. So I'm told. Nothing goes my way. Ruben Dias, midway inside his own half for City, left-hand side. A reminder, by the way, we're back with you tomorrow with more Premier League action. James Fielden and Chris Perry will be with you from 7:30 UK time. Check your local listings for Arsenal against Newcastle United. That rounds up this game week, but don't despair. We are going to be back with you immediately afterwards the following day with further Premier League action. West Ham, West Brom, Leicester, Chelsea on Tuesday. Cross comes in here, cleared away by Gary Cahill, and we're back with Man City on Wednesday. They take on Aston Villa. So a full programme of Premier League action all the way through this week, then into the FA Cup weekend as well. So don't make plans, you don't need them. Throw in here for Crystal Palace around about the halfway line. They've looked a little bit more ambitious, haven't they, since the third goal, but maybe City have just taken their foot off the gas here. They have won it back again, Manchester City. No real impetus in the attack from Andros Townsend. It's work from left to right for Man City. Cancelo into Fernandinho. Just trying to work out where everyone's playing for Manchester City, and honestly I have absolutely no idea if there even is a formation at the moment. Dias is almost in the left back row at the moment. Stones in the centre. No idea where Cancelo's playing. I'll leave that to David Connolly to work out if he can, because I can't. Sterling on the right hand side, back to Kyle Walker, forward to Cancelo, right back to right back. Cancelo in midfield?
Yeah, I don't know really.
It's not easy.
No.
Well, I suppose when you've got the ball and the opposition have given up, it doesn't really matter. Stones forward to Zinchenko, back to Cancelo in the centre circle.
They're not playing the back three, are they? See?
They might be, but it's hard to tell. As Cancelo is popping up all over the place, as is Sterling, who's over on the right hand side here. His cross comes in Blocked by Mitchell. Cahill will clear to Eze. Walker presses high. Back to Tyrick Mitchell. Clearance intercepted by Fernandinho. I mean, Zinchenko is almost in centre midfield here for the moment as Stones runs right to left towards him. Diaz is now outside of Zinchenko. Ferran Torres is now inexplicably on as well. Sort of like playground stuff. And it's very much a testimonial pace at the moment. If there were fans here, I think a few might be heading for the exits with the job long done. Don't you consider that though, Connolly? You can't go anywhere yet, right?
No, obviously not, no.
And we're with you tonight for another 45 minutes from now. We're going to look back at the games that have already happened today. We'll hear from the bosses too, from Liverpool and Manchester United, from Sheffield United against Tottenham. We'll also look back at yesterday as well, when Leicester City for a time went second. Oh, poor touch here from Fernandinho has allowed Ayew in. Ayew's running towards the penalty area on his own. He's gone down here, and that should be a penalty. Fernandinho's gone to ground. Ayew's gone down. The referee's not given it, but I don't see how he could have got anywhere near the ball without going through Fernandinho.
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to see this again, but why does the goalkeeper pick that ball up? Because it comes from Fernandinho, so that's a pass back anyway.
It's a pass back or a penalty, and Lee Mason's given nothing.
Yeah.
Well, the VAR will be checking it, but I can't see how Fernandinho got anywhere near it without taking Ayew down. Well, I know it's sort of immaterial, but...
Well, it's not. It's a penalty, so, you know, if it's...
Maybe Lee Mason's checked out. If you ask Nuno, he never checked in.
We'll have to see a replay, won't we? But we haven't seen one yet. He's just got Fernandinho coming from his blind side, hasn't he?
We've got the replay now. Ayew running in between Stones and Fernandinho.
So he gets the ball, see? That, to me, he touches the ball, goes back to the goalkeeper who picks it up.
You're happy?
Well, I didn't think that was a...
Not like existentially, just in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like Fernandinho got plenty of the ball. The check has been passed, we're hearing, by the way, from the VAR. Martin Atkinson took a quick glance, one replay, he's happy too. The only man not happy is Jordan Ayew, who didn't get the shot away when he probably should have done. Here is Fernandinho, to his left is Cancelo. Approaching the final third, Riedewald intercept, but Fernandinho sweeps up in that Fernandinho way. Ruben Diaz to his right and John Stones. I wonder how much he wants a hat-trick tonight. I'm sure it's playing on his mind. Get him up front.
I have a feeling it's not playing on his mind. I think he's thinking, I got to keep a clean sheet. That's what I'm here to do. 2 goals is a nice bonus, but I'm at the back to just keep doing what I'm doing. Keep things simple. Keep us ticking over when we got the ball, but, be a defender first and foremost.
But I bet he gets very excited if City get a corner. Here he is now, John Stones, running forward from the halfway. Pass on to Raheem Sterling. Back to Kyle Walker on the right, trying a diagonal again, right to left. Zinchenko brings it down nicely. Townsend for company. Challenge on Townsend. That's going to be a throw-in and going to be the last act in the game for Andros Townsend, who's not going to be having a memorable evening at the Etihad Stadium this time around. He's replaced by Michy Batshuayi.
Yeah, we just have to wait and see whether they'll go to a front 2 now, or where Batshuayi will play. I'll be surprised if they do this late in the game at 3-0 down, but obviously Batshuayi and Ayew can play wide. It looks like that's what he's doing here. Yeah, Ayew might have just moved wide now.
But is there much point doing like for like at this point? 3-0 to 5-0, is that going to make a difference to Palace?
Well, I don't know. He had, what was it, Liverpool, was that 7-0?
Yes, it was,
so,
3 against Villa as well.
Yeah, and he sort of said, he didn't care, and there wasn't much they could do. Obviously, Liverpool are Liverpool, but I think got a lot of stick for that, so I don't think he want to do the same again or something like that.
Good challenge by Ayew, finds Batshuayi, back to MacArthur on the halfway. Rounded out by Ferran Torres and João Cancelo. He has found a pass by hook or by crook, back to Ward. Ward into the feet of Batshuayi, turns away from Diaz. He'll find MacArthur. MacArthur running into trouble. Jesus looking to nick it from him. Ward down the line to Ayew. Palace on the ball, a rarity in this game. They've had 27% of the ball, 2 shots on goal, neither on target. And McCarthy has given the ball straight to Ruben Dias here with a poor forward pass. 10 minutes remaining, Manchester City 3, Crystal Palace 0 on Premier League Live. Here's Fernandinho over the top, right to left. Ferran Torres, goal side of Ward. Chops in field, Ferran Torres, right-footed cross. Away by Mitchell, Jesus brings it down. Edge of the area, can't get the shot away. It's back to Cancelo. On to Kyle Walker. Cancelo again, right-hand side. Up against Eze, Walker outside. Short to Jesus, back to Kyle Walker, into Cancelo. Can't turn away from Eze and Mitchell, but it has found Sterling, that tackle. Kyle Walker back towards the halfway line.
It's death by 1,000 passes here, isn't it? Yeah. You know, for Crystal Palace.
No real intense pressing on the ball here. One of those games where if we did have the throw in the towel rule in football, I think the towel would be long since thrown in from Crystal Palace.
This is probably the game that, you know, you least look forward to as a pro in the Premier League if you are, you know, playing for a side like Crystal Palace.
Crossfield to Jesus, who'd love a goal here against pliant opponents. Back to Kyle Walker on the right hand side and tries to take Eze on the outside, who's done well to get his body in the way and then draw the foul from Kyle Walker.
Yeah, good defending. He just read what Kyle Walker was going to do, try and go down the outside, just got his body there first.
Is it important for Gabriel Jesus to score in a game like this?
Yeah, I think so, certainly for his confidence. You know, but again, we've seen today in terms of, you spoke about the goals and the goal scorers, and, you know, there's been so many different ones, and that's, I guess, helped without a regular, you know, number 9 banging in, you know, double figures or at this stage normally.
Gabriel Jesus, 2 goals this season. They came in the opening games of the campaign in the Premier League, not scored since then. Draw against Liverpool in November was the last time he scored, so his first games in the league, not City's first games in the league this season. Injury struck campaign again for Gabriel Jesus. This is 8th start. Fernandinho has it here, back to Kyle Walker. Not a good ball to him on the halfway, but again, Palace rather limp in their pressing, and so he got away with it. Almost a nice touch by Ferran Torres to get away from Ward, who fouled him by my count 4 times in about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
There was a kick and a trip, then a hold, then a pull. All the classics from the fullback there. Free kick taken. It's out right to Sterling, up against Mitchell. And Sterling runs towards the end. I think he's right to touch there. Cross was poor, went to Guaita. Poor night from Raheem Sterling, all told, I would say.
Yeah, he has. He's had a very, very disappointing night in possession, you know, in terms of what he's done with it. His final product, end product. He's really struggled to get his game going, I think, this season. I thought it'd be a standout like last, banging in the goals and being really reliable, but it just hasn't worked for him so far.
And yet, despite a couple of poor performances, City, they are cruising to victory here against Crystal Palace. Usually when you're out in the FA Cup in the 3rd round and you've got the 4th round weekend off, you head to Dubai or something like that, bit of warm weather training, but of course we are unable to do that this year. I'm sure there'll be a few days off for these Palace players who have turned things around in recent weeks, but they've struggled tonight and they're struggling here. Foden battling in the penalty area, first with Cahill, then with Guaita. The keeper comes away with it, then throws it out quickly to Riedewald, who finds MacArthur. I'm not sure either really wanted him to do that. Palace to be happy with the keeper to hold it for another 6 minutes. Batshuayi into Riedewald, back to Batshuayi on the halfway line, challenged by Fernandinho. Cancelo brings City away. Talk about not knowing where City players are playing. I've no idea what Batshuayi has been brought on to do. Just sort of running around in random positions. Nominally the centre forward, but he's popping up all over the place to try and get involved. Desperate to get his season going, desperate to get his career going again as well, Michy Batshuayi. Long time ago now he scored that winning goal against West Bromwich Albion, which gave Chelsea the Premier League title under Antonio Conte. Farmed out of Chelsea several times over, Batshuayi. 2nd time it's happened to Crystal Palace. 5 minutes remaining, Man City 3, Crystal Palace 0. Kyle Walker on the ball as the death by 1,000 passes approach continues here for Palace to endure. I wonder if any Palace fans, either watching at home or listening, are still listening at this point. If you are, I commend you for your dedication. I think I might have put a movie on at this point. Ball is with Ruben Dias on the halfway line for City as they search half-heartedly for a fourth. Through ball goes to Guaita. Upfield to Ayew, challenged by Zinchenko, into touch for a throw. 85 minutes gone. It's Manchester City 3, Crystal Palace 0.
Yeah, there's no rush to take this throw, Palace. I'm sure they can't wait for the final whistle here. And they'll know, look, they've got probably more winnable games. You know, look what's coming up. Maybe Wolves are struggling for form. Newcastle are struggling for form. They might look at those games, Leeds, and think, you know, we'll just dust ourselves down and move on.
John Stones volleys back to his goalkeeper Edison. Left-footed upfield towards Zinchenko. Intercepted by Ward on the halfway. He's been robbed by Ferran Torres, who maybe gets a bit of revenge for those fouls a few minutes ago. MacArthur down the line off Phil Foden, throw-in to Crystal Palace. In front of Ray Lewington, who famously, despite the weather being around about 0 degrees in Manchester, wears his shorts and socks. Knees in the breeze, Ray Lewington. Still got a big winter coat on as well, so he's not Tierney tough. Gary Cahill midway inside his own half here for Crystal Palace finds James Tompkins, who had a pretty decent game at the back. Tompkins got plenty of blocks on shots and crosses despite the scoreline. Back to Guaita, who had nowhere to go, only to Phil Foden, then finds Torres, who's surely been brought down by McCarthy on the edge. Crystal Palace, how much do they just want to go home here?
Well, if they do, you know, they're making their life difficult here. They could be going home a little bit later than they wanted to, giving away free kicks like that. I mean, Guaita, why is he trying to play out? Just, look, there was nothing on for him. He tried to play out from the back. They lost possession. Before you know it, they conceded a free kick right on the edge of the box. And I think Sterling might have pulled rank here in terms of taking this free kick. He hasn't been in the best form, and you'd think, well, is he able to, you know, get a sort of a free hit like he did against Brighton? Was given a free hit with the penalty, missed it. He's sort of demanded this free kick. Let's hope he sticks it in the back of the net.
Well, it's good to see he wanted to take it. There are others that have shied away from such situations, but he is desperate for a goal here. Raheem Sterling. He's over it, left of centre, right on the edge of the penalty box. 4-man wall for Palace, 2 City players in front. It is Sterling, it is 4. And that's a fantastic strike from Raheem Sterling. Guaita maybe wasn't as well placed as he could have been, but Manchester City are well placed in the Premier League table. They're going second with this 4-0 thumping of a pretty poor Palace. Raheem Sterling with the goal.
Yeah, superb strike this is from Raheem Sterling. I mean, Guaita, he didn't get set. The whistle had blown and he wasn't back where he should be. He was still lining up the wall, and there was no way he could see that ball because City put 2 players in front of the wall. I think it was Stones and one other, and that must have affected his eye line, Guaita. He didn't see that ball at all. He couldn't see it, and if he couldn't, you got to move where you can see it, and he didn't.
Well, you could hear, couldn't you? There was Palace players scream at Guaita to get better set, and he didn't, and Sterling has scored. He's now City's out-and-out Premier League top goal scorer with 5. First Premier League goal of 2021 for him, and City going for a 5th here. Jesus in the area. Back to Foden. Torres on the edge. Palace getting reset. They're not too far away from a bit of a thumping here, Palace. There's going to be time to go on top of the 90 being over as well. Sterling is on the ball in the area. Back to Walker. Looping cross. Foden's over. Ward away. McCarthy on it. Finds Jordan Ayew. Nowhere to go here for Ayew. Just got to keep it under his spell. Oh, McArthur's giving it straight to Foden. Ward helps him out with a challenge. Back to Guaita, who's just got to clear this hit.
That's what he should have done for the goal.
Yeah. Didn't learn his lesson earlier, did he, as well?
Yeah.
When he was nearly caught.
And Roy will look back at a couple of moments, certainly the first goal, that one as well, and just think, you know, they certainly contributed to their own downfall here. They probably would have lost anyway, but...
Well, you're going to lose a lot of games playing as badly as this. If you're Crystal Palace, this has been a pretty pitiful showing. On a ground where the likes of West Bromwich Albion have picked up points this season. Of course, that was a few weeks ago, different times and all that, but I think they've played with fear and been incredibly negative. Never really looked like they had any ambition to get something from this game, Crystal Palace, and that's exactly what they're going to get. Tails firmly between legs. Do Eagles have tails? I don't want to push that too far, in fact. That's too confusing. Sort of, right? Tails? Eagles? Anyway, I'll look into it. I'll watch an Attenborough and I'll get back to you next week. Just the 2 minutes added on at the end of this game, and that's sweet relief for Crystal Palace. I'm sure there could have been more if the game was more in the balance. Not sure why we have to play the two. Anyway, that's again another complaint for another day. John Stones finds a pass left to Ruben Dias. As the sponsors, such as they are, have given John Stones the Man of the Match award. Zinchenko here from the left-hand side, crossing up in the air from Tompkins. Jesus chest back to Zinchenko. He finds Ruben Dias. Fernandinho. Phil Foden, edge of the area, back to Fernandinho, into Torres. Phil Foden pokes it back. He wants a free kick here, and McCarthy, who is nasty as a player, has gone in just to hurt Foden in frustration. He gives a free kick away.
Yeah. It's probably a few yards deeper than Sterling's opportunity, so maybe the centre-halves are going to go out. Might we do something similar here, or maybe they'll try and pick them out.
And F1 wants John Stones to score a hat-trick here, I'm sure, in City Blue. Licensed to go forward now, the man who scored two. Free kick is left of centre, as you say. It's a good 10-15 yards away from where the Sterling free kick was. Cancelo is over it. Whips it in the penalty area. Diaz was there, but it bounces through to Vicente Guaita, and he will want to hold this ball for as long as possible. Puts it down now, still delaying getting the ball back into play. Up to Eze. Free kick given for handball, I think, against Eze there.
Well, I think Carl Walker just put him off slightly as he received it on his chest, and they can't wait for this final whistle. Here it comes.
Well, it was pitiful from Palace, but that's not the story of the night. The story is City are back to thumping the also-rans in the Premier League. 4-0 against Crystal Palace. It has finished. John Stones on 27 minutes, Gundogan on 57. Stones scoring his second a little bit later in the match, and then Sterling in the last couple of minutes adding a fourth to put an appropriate measure of distance between these two teams and the scoreline as it was in the performance. City up to second, United top. They can go top if they win their game before United in midweek. Further analysis to follow. Stick around for that. We'll hear from the bosses from across the weekend too as we round up the weekend up next. It's finished here 4-0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
When I was at Palace, I would not let them on the training ground. How did you enforce that? Because it's my training ground, you don't go on it.
100% engagement.
I read this and I immediately thought of Simon Jordan.
Look what you could have won. Here's that. Now you get this pile of pup, right?
Warning. Dangerous opinions ahead.
Jim White versus Simon Jordan.
Disagree to disagree continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Radio.
Your trusted 24-hour resource for breaking news and non-stop conversation.
We've reached a perilous turning point.
Unparalleled radio for unprecedented times.
Doing nothing in the face of this quite rapid spread now is not an option.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Celebrating 20 swashbuckling years of Talk Sport.
Unbelievable!
The passion.
Oh!
the pain,
It's a shocking defeat.
the prima donnas.
I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hop, and you don't stop.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker.
Didn't say this in my contract when I joined TalkSport, mate.
20 glorious years of Talk Sport.
I'll do a lot of things, but I ain't into that.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
And extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
There will be a mad, dirty rush to turn around and say that taxpayers' money should go to bail out football clubs that won't be able to get the one commodity that needs to take a reduction, players' pay cuts.
A daily landscape of fire, football and feuds.
Are you confused.com? I'm confused as to why I'm sitting opposite you at times, yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Celebrating 20 years of Talk Sport. They said it wouldn't work.
What, you want to know what I want to say?
Sometimes it didn't.
Serious? You like illegal acts?
But somehow it did.
And wrongdoing by the US government.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
You're with Premier League Live for another 20 minutes or so. Tom Money and David Connolly still in situ for you following Man City's 4-0 thumping of Crystal Palace, which puts City up to second in the table. This was the third feature game in the Premier League today. Sheffield United 1, Tottenham 3, and goalless between Liverpool and Manchester United. Let's get the best of the action from all three matches now.
On set pieces delivered in, and Tottenham have the advantage. 4.5 minutes on the clock. And Tottenham have the breakthrough. Sheffield United sleeping. And Spurs take full advantage, Kevin.
It's Aurier, isn't it? Ramsdale's in no man's land. He gets across the defender, and that's all too easy, Dave. Spurs take the lead, and you look at that goal, and you think, no wonder Sheffield United are down the bottom of the table. It's poor defending.
Harry Kane now not shy of shooting. Harry Kane with the effort, and Harry Kane with the goal. And Tottenham double their advantage in quite some style. And you'd have to say, on the balance of play, the manner in which they've attacked, it is the least that the visitors deserve. Fleck fires the ball into the penalty area, and McGoldrick meets it, and Sheffield United have a lifeline. It's a lovely cross, beautiful delivery carved into the box, and McGoldrick rose highest inside the confines of the penalty area.
Brilliant ball in from Fleck. Great header from McGoldrick, and all of a sudden, they're back in it.
And it's Sheffield United 1, Tottenham 2. Forwards into the penalty area towards Ndombele, and Ndombele with a touch, and Ndombele with a quite splendid goal, and Tottenham do re-establish the 2-goal cushion in Sheffield United 1, Tottenham 3, and it's a really precocious finish.
That is simply outstanding. It's a lovely scoop ball from Bergwijn. It comes over the left shoulder of Ndombele, and with the outside of his right foot, he hooks it into that far corner, and Ramsdale has no chance whatsoever. It is pure quality from Ndombele.
Right-footed cross, beautiful outside of the boot, and it's a beautiful header too by the man of the moment, the rock at the back for Man City. John Stones finds the corner. Brilliant delivery in from Kevin De Bruyne, the assist maker extraordinaire, and Stones gives City the lead. Brought down by Townsend. Pickpocketed by Gundogan, who strikes superbly, strikes straight in. That's a second for Manchester City. A curling, delicious effort from Gundogan, leaving Guaita no chance. And City celebrate their second. It's 2-0. Diaz is there, saved Guaita. Stones for a second. John Stones has got a second. Well, when it's going your way, it's going your way. And John Stones is the man in form at Manchester City right now. A brace from City's rock at the back. John Stones with 2, City with 3, and they're going second tonight. Raheem Sterling, he's over it, left of centre, right on the edge of the penalty box. 4-man wall for Palace, 2 City players in front. It is Sterling, it is 4, and that's a fantastic strike from Raheem Sterling. Guaita maybe wasn't as well placed as he could have been, but Manchester City are well placed in the Premier League table. They're going second with this 4-0 thumping of a pretty poor Palace. Raheem Sterling with the goal. Yeah, so you may have noticed there was no highlight from Anfield. We'll get to that in a moment, but there were plenty here in the game in the Etihad Stadium between City and Crystal Palace. David Connolly has been with me, Tom Rennie. Before the game, we said that City weren't quite pumping the also-rans this season, weren't quite taking advantage of the sides not in the title race at home, just beating them 1s and 2s. Tonight, it was 4 and it could have been much more. Yeah, I think, look, certainly when the team news came in for Palace and Zaha was missing, that would have even given, I think, Man City a bit of a lift, knowing that obviously one of their best players is out. A lot of changes for them as well. Cahill coming back in and hasn't had a lot of football. The midfield is, workmanlike, but obviously they faded badly. And they made their quality count, didn't they, in the second half? And they scored some terrific goals, make no mistake. Ominous form for City now. 8 wins in a row, 15 unbeaten. And the funny thing is, if I go through some of their senior players, Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus, 2 or 3 others, I think there's plenty of players here that are playing nowhere near their capability. Well, no, I think certainly some of the players have dipped off, but when others dip off, maybe some, step to the fore. The likes of Gundogan, he stepped up, and, obviously his football's been brilliant. Phil Foden's come to the fore this season. De Bruyne is obviously still there, performing really, really well. John Stones has come to the fore. Ruben Dias has come, so maybe that's how it goes, right? Sometimes players in and out of form, and what you need if 1 or 2 others dip is those to step up. Competitions this season, Stones and Dias have started together 10 times, 9 wins, 1 draw, 1 goal conceded. Look, Palace didn't really threaten this evening, but maybe that's because there was just no way past the back line that City put together here. Yeah, that's right. And look, Chelsea got a sort of consolation, didn't they, against them? Other than that was nearly a clean sheet as well, and obviously look at the sort of fantastic, another clean sheet. So, they're doing an awful lot right at the back, and that's credit to them. City, up next for them is a home game against Aston Villa. That's early on Wednesday, rearranged into that slot. Should they win it, United play afterwards. They would be top when United kick off their game, which follows against Fulham on the same evening, which would be a real achievement for City, considering, as we discussed pre-game, they weren't even in the top 4 all season until the victory over Brighton a couple of games ago. Let's reflect now on the other 2 games today and start with that match at Anfield, which was a bit of a damp squib in the end, as they often tend to be when the big clubs meet each other. You would have noticed in our highlights package there wasn't a single one from Anfield, and that rather tells the story of it. Let's hear from the 2 bosses involved at Anfield, Jurgen Klopp of Liverpool and Manchester United's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They had the 2 chances. They were really big, honestly, but that's the quality of United. The individual quality of United is incredible, I have to say. It's absolutely incredible, physically, technically. There's so much potential in that team. But we played the game we wanted to play, and then you cannot avoid or deny 100% of them, and we in the end it's Ali's job actually to save our lives from time to time. He did that in 2 situations, how probably De Gea did in 2 or 3 other situations, and that's how it should be. We didn't start well when we knew they were going to come out like a house on fire. They always do. High tempo, intensity. We didn't impose ourselves enough on the game. I thought first half it's almost like we didn't connect to enough passes to get a foothold in the game. Second half, I thought we grew and grew, and towards the end I felt, well, we can win this, but just wasn't to be. It was a really good game. It was a tough game, and what we obviously miss is a goal, and that's the thing. It's a old rule. You have to use your chances when you have them. We played brilliant football in the first half against a top side, created chances, put them under pressure. They had nothing really to do with the game apart from always counter-attacking. It's always possible for them, of course, but we even defended that really well. Second half, that's what I mean. We had a really big one with Bobby, I think. I'm not sure who defended that, Maguire or De Gea. Couldn't see it back yet. And but they had 2 chances as well. So in the end, it's 0-0. We played the football we wanted to play. That's the important thing. But a lot of improvement performance-wise to the last games, to the last 2 games especially, and so I'm really happy about that. So that was a good step for us after now maybe the longest break we had for a long time. And a lot of training, and I saw a lot of things we did in training. So if we keep going like that, we will win football games and score goals. That's clear. We just have to do it. Intensity. 2 teams that still both want to win, just weren't capable of winning by, their keeper had 2 fantastic saves. You feel
a bit disappointed that we didn't take them. Paul and Bruno, they're two massive chances, and we had other moments as well that we maybe, don't want to say wasted, but we made the wrong decision, and they went into nothing.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jurgen Klopp speaking earlier today. David Collin, there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that there's been no defensive options for Jurgen Klopp this season, but there's that rather taking the attention off the fact the attack haven't been up to standard. They've failed to score in 3 consecutive league games for the first time since 2005.
Yes, and obviously, the thing that we spoke about was obviously that centre forward, and people will say Firmino, what an important player is in terms of building. Klopp says that, building the team, etc. And but you still need someone to go and bang in, double figures and hit your 15s to 20s. Certainly if you want to win the league. And I think today showed that they need a centre forward. Make no mistake. But that's been the case for, I think, probably a couple of seasons.
Manchester United, an incredible run of form they have been on, certainly away from home. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer answering a lot of his critics with good performances in the side that still has some quite obvious deficiencies itself. Just how far can he take this squad?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because they came up against Man City, against teams that dominate the ball. They're playing on the counter. Obviously, a lot of United fans, if they're at Old Trafford, would they be happy with that? Is that how they want their side to play? Being dominated by other teams. But at this moment in time, they probably wouldn't care. But they've dug themselves out of a few holes this season. They're top of the table, so you've got to take your hats off to them. They've done really, really well. And they could have won. They probably should have won today. They had the chances to do so.
Saw a great tweet from Adam Crafton, football journalist, who said United went to Anfield, had the best chances, and there wasn't a showreel of De Gea saves. That is real progress and a good performance, and they stay top, and it's hard to argue with that. Earlier in the day, Sheffield United up against Tottenham at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United in desperate trouble at the bottom of the Premier League, hoping for another victory to get themselves back in the mix to stay in the Premier League. It wasn't to be. They were beaten in the end by 3-1. We can hear from the two managers, Chris Wilder of the Blades and Jose Mourinho of Tottenham.
It's no consolation, because the goals that we conceded are really poor ones. We needed to use Tuesday night as a springboard to try and get some points. We've had a decent reaction off Tuesday night. The boys have been bright, but the start yet again is a poor start. Avoidable, loss of possession, free header, timing of the second goal, loss of possession, fabulous finish, timing of the third goal, get ourselves back into the game on the front foot, looked like we could get something from the game. 4 minutes, avoidable goal, loss of possession in the middle of the park, under no pressure, fabulous finish.
If you stay 2-1, you are again open to something to happen. You are again open to a mistake. I remember, for example, in the first half, they didn't arrive in our box. They had one corner. In that corner, they had a free header. It was almost a goal. So we concede goals even when the opponent does nothing to score goals. And like this is difficult. But today, at least we managed to score 3, and when you score 3 goals, you have big chances of winning.
It went 2-1. There was a feeling from me, and I think anybody around this ground that supported us, that there's a great opportunity for us to get something from the game. These are basic stuff regarding, not even from a Premier League point of view. A start, 4 minutes before half time, and when you get a goal back, these are just normal basic stuff that you need to get right, and we haven't.
We have to kill matches by scoring the chances we have, and by not making the mistakes we make defensively. Today, 3 is short. We had much more opportunities to score more goals, and the game was open until the end because we didn't score more goals. But it's also open because we make a defensive mistake. So Lloris doesn't make one single save during the game, but then one very, very basic mistake from a throw-in. The mistake we made, I used to teach that to the kids when the kids were 13 and 14, when I started. A very basic mistake, and they score a goal. So that's our problem. But the desire to play well and to kill matches, we have it.
Yeah, some people are never happy, are they? Jose Mourinho there, would you believe it, the victorious manager in that game at Bramall Lane. Earlier we spoke about Sheffield United, very difficult to make a case for them staying in the Premier League. Is it tough to make a case for Tottenham winning it?
No, you wouldn't say it's not tough for the, in terms of what they've got. Certainly they've got the talent going forward, haven't they? Make no mistake. But you just feel if you're up against, your Cities of this world, your Liverpools, I think it's going to be, probably a bit of a stretch for all them. But I think certainly they could be up there top 4. The worry, obviously, is Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Just looking at the points total, the lowest ever was West Brom. Looking here, 34 points. They've already played half their games now, Sheffield. They've got 5 points. They're going to have to win 30 points in those remaining games. What's that, 6-7 victories? Are they going to be able to do that? No.
I think the ambition is less get 34 to stay in the Premier League and get more than 11, which was Derby's tally, the worst ever Premier League performance ever, and they're not on course for that at the moment. If they get the same points second half of the season, just 10, it would be the worst ever season the Premier League has ever seen. So maybe they might need to just lessen that ambition slightly. Sorry, Blades fans, if you're listening, if I'm laughing, but, it's pretty funny. On to Saturday now, a whole bunch of results to get through. Here's the best of what happened.
In swinging cross from Fornals, and there's Mikel Antonio. Shocking defending from Burnley. Robbie Brady puts his head in his hands, but Mikel Antonio finally scores his first goal of an injury-hit season. He's celebrating big time in the corner. It's West Ham 1, Burnley 0.
McAllister outside the box, rolls it into the feet of Trossard, back to goal, back to McAllister, across the face goal. Mopé has scored. They've opened Leeds up so easily. Mopé in the 17th minute, and it's a fine goal from Brighton.
Long throw comes in from Snodgrass. It's a header, it's a goal!
Wow.
It's Shimmy Ajayi! It was a flick on from a long throw, and Ajayi, the hero. Pereira, for the second time, looking to make it 2-2 from the spot, and does! It's another superbly dispatched penalty by Pereira. Wolves 2, West Brom 3.
Like I say, the only disappointment was the 2 goals we conceded, and not actually scoring a goal in open play with the chances we did create today, but pleased that we did actually create chances.
Tete trying to get the challenge in. It's a good claw away, and then the shot comes in, and Chelsea have the lead, and it's a fine finish from Mason Mount into the corner. It's Fulham 0, it's Chelsea 1.
We had a really good run, and then you have a tough patch. I expected it this season, and they give you little challenges. How do you get out of a tough patch? Work hard, show spirit on an evening like tonight on a tough night.
Barnes bearing down on goal for 2-0. It's 2-0. And Leicester City with that second goal will get the 3 points against Southampton. They will go above Liverpool into second.
One more game to go, then we're at the halfway point, and the players are giving everything. They're fighting, they're working, they're showing quality, and you just need to keep that going.
Brendan Rodgers speaking yesterday following that win for Leicester City. 2 wins in a row, 3 wins in their last 5, 2 points off top. David Connolly, we covered that game last night, and it was rather formulaic in the end for Leicester City, who, if Tottenham are in it, and we think they are, Leicester are too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought they were, really good. I thought Southampton put up a good show, but they just had that little bit of magic, didn't they, in the final third that Southampton didn't, probably without Danny Ings. And yeah, they're having a terrific season. They really are.
Hard to make a case for Chelsea being in the title race. Victory for them yesterday against Fulham, 29 points, 8 behind Manchester United. Not a great performance at Craven Cottage, truth be told, from Frank Lampard's side. Let's hear from the Chelsea boss speaking post-match.
Working time, that's what I'm saying. You can't wave a magic wand in football. They've got huge talent and huge potential. Some of them have just come into the Premier League. Some of them have maybe had a year or so in the Premier League, and they will get there. You look at the history of the Premier League, players that really hit it and hit it regularly. Generally, they go, as I say, through those sort of mid-20s when they're robust and they've seen it, and they grow and they grow. We've had players at Chelsea before that go away to come back and do that stuff. So
you did it.
Yeah, I did, and I remember my first probably really influential years where I'm making a difference in front of goal was at 25, 26 years of age. And if you go through our front line, Christian Pulisic, low 20s, Mason Mount, 22 yesterday, Tammy Abraham, young, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, young. So people got to be careful what they expect and expect everything now. I know with time and work they'll get there, but it's part of the process.
I think the 200 million of investment, I think people expect a tilt at the title not to be this far behind at this stage of the season. Speaking of being behind, West Brom behind in the race to stay in the Premier League. 11 points they they have from their 18 games. It's 5 from safety, but victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers certainly cheered up their new manager, Big Sam Allardyce.
Thanks, I'm glad everybody at Talk Sport was here to see me at last get my first victory over the period of time I've been here, and I'm totally delighted for the players and their efforts today. Local derby 3-2, entertaining game, created chances in open play. Again, if I have a criticism, it's not finishing them off better than we did, but obviously the goals we scored today was very brave from Michel, because obviously he missed a penalty, Blackpool, but took 2 away today, and a great goal off a long throw. And like I say, the only disappointment was the 2 goals we conceded, and not actually scoring a goal in open play with the chances we did create today, but pleased that we did actually create chances.
Sam Allardyce speaking yesterday. David Connolly, briefly, what a result for Albion that was.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I guess unexpected, but maybe Wolves were on the slide and just put up a really good performance. He made a lot of changes. Wanted an impact from those players that came in. They certainly done that.
David Connolly, thank you very much indeed. Wolves may be looking over their shoulder a bit. Poor season for them, 10 clear of the relegation zone as things stand. As for West Bromwich Albion, just a few points shy of the safety line right now. We are back tomorrow with further Premier League action as Arsenal take on Newcastle United, but we are done here for this evening. City 4-0 winners over Palace. They are second, and you're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
When I was at Palace, I would not let them on the training ground. How did you enforce that? Because it's my training ground, you don't go on it.
100% engagement.
I read this and I immediately thought of Simon Jordan.
Look what you could have won. Here's that. Now you get this pile of pup, right?
Warning. Dangerous opinions ahead.
Jim White versus Simon Jordan.
Disagree to disagree continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Radio. Your trusted 24-hour resource for breaking news and non-stop conversation.
We've reached a perilous turning point.
Unparalleled radio for unprecedented times.
Doing nothing in the face of this quite rapid spread now is not an option.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Celebrating 20 swashbuckling years of Talk Sport.
Unbelievable!
The passion. The pain.
It's a shocking defeat.
The prima donnas.
I said a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hop, and you don't stop.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker.
I didn't say this in my contract when I joined Talk Sport, mate.
20 glorious years of Talk Sport.
I'll do a lot of things, so I ain't into that.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
There will be a mad, dirty rush to turn around and say that taxpayers' money should go to bail out football clubs that won't be able to get the one commodity that needs to take a reduction, players' pay cuts.
A daily landscape of fire, football and feuds.
Are you confused.com? I'm confused as to why I'm sitting opposite you at times, yes.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Celebrating 20 years of Talk Sport.
Back of the net!
They said it wouldn't work.
What, you want to know what I want to say?
Sometimes it didn't.
Serious? You like lads.
But somehow it did.
And wrongdoing by the US government.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.